Joining a translation session is fast and easy. Scan the Wordly QR code with your phone, select from over 25 languages, click Attend, and start reading the translated captions. You can also unmute your phone to listen to audio translations. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy a more inclusive and engaging experience. Joining a translation session is fast and easy. Scan the Wordly QR code with your phone, select from over 25 languages, click Attend, and start reading the translated captions. You can also unmute your phone to listen to audio translations. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy a more inclusive and engaging experience. Joining a translation session is fast and easy. Scan the Wordly QR code with your phone, select from over 25 languages, click Attend, and start reading the translated captions. You can also unmute your phone to listen to audio translations. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy a more inclusive and engaging experience.
MCTV, how are we doing? Okay.
Recording in progress.
Sorry, it's already been a long day and it's only 7 p.m. Welcome to the MILLBRAE City Council meeting, regular meeting agenda, September 12th, 2023. If City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Pappen.
Here.
Councilmember Kaelin.
Here.
Councilmember Fung.
Here.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Here.
Mayor Snyder.
Here.
All members of the City Council are present.
Thank you, City Clerk. If everyone who can stand, please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have kind of, sort of, come back from our August recess, although it has been a very busy month. We have quite a few proclamations tonight, and then agenda overview, minutes, a fairly full consent calendar with 2 items being pulled off consent, and then 3 other items. So with that, we're going to do kind of a quick presentation, and this is not to slight any of the people that we are celebrating. And before that, I do want to take, how about 30 seconds to remember 9/11 yesterday with everything going on. I know that our sheriff and our fire department had an event, but we did not publicize it well. So 30 seconds to remember the men and women who lost their lives on 9/11. Thank you. All right, for ceremonial presentations, we have, I'm sorry, I wasn't here early enough to throw these around, so I'm going to be doing all the reading tonight, or almost all the reading. First up, it is very happy to celebrate proclamation proclaiming September 15th to October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month. And we will be accepting this by our Assistant City Manager, Isabel Carlos, and Project Manager, Eduardo Gonzalez. But let me read this. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to appreciate and celebrate the colorful cultures, rich histories, and diversity of Latinx and Hispanic Americans. And whereas this month-long celebration recognizes the valuable contributions made by residents of Hispanic descent to all aspects of American life, including the leadership in public service, business, the arts, education, and civil rights. And whereas the contributions of Hispanic Americans have strengthened the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of our country, and as well as enhanced our bond with neighboring countries. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month provides a special opportunity for schools as well as public and private organizations to focus on the many Hispanic Americans whose lives have shaped our common history and heritage. And whereas it is imperative to embrace our diverse history so that all children can see themselves in our nation's past and know that they have a crucial role in its future. And whereas the call for recognition this year is to ensure that diversified communities stand in solidarity to create inclusive spaces with open dialogue for a more just and equitable future. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 15th, 2023 to October 15th, 2023 as National Hispanic Heritage Month. And please join us in accepting. Councilwoman Pappen is going to read the proclamation proclaiming September 16th to the 22nd as Constitution Week.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas September 16th, 2023 marks the 236th anniversary of drafting the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and at this convention, the world's oldest written constitution was drafted by the United States, thus outlining the fundamental principles by which our nation is governed. And whereas the 6 basic governing principles for society include popular serenity, what am I doing here?
It's been a long day.
Sovereignty, thank you very much. Sovereignty, the rule of law, federalism, judicial review, individual rights, and separation of powers through a system of checks and balances. And the Constitution ensures the distribution of functions and responsibilities among 3 separate branches and a system of checks and balances to calibrate those powers, ultimately ensuring the protection of individual rights and liberties. It is important to officially recognize this document and the anniversary of its creation, and to officially recognize the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating September 16th through 22nd as Constitution Week. Therefore, we, the members of the MILLBRAE City Council, do proclaim September 16th through the 22nd, 2023 as Constitution Week.
Thank you, Ms. Pappen. And coming up in 2 weeks, we did, with the help of the city clerk and the city manager, have a Youth in Government Week where high school students taught legislation and policy to middle schoolers. So we will be celebrating the organizers of that in 2 weeks, trying to keep the Constitution alive. Next up, proclamation proclaiming September 18th to 22nd as National Pollution Prevention Week. Councilman Fung.
Thank you. The City of MILLBRAE Proclamation. The City of MILLBRAE takes pride in protecting and maintaining its exceptional landscapes, environment, and natural resources. And whereas the City of MILLBRAE supports clean and safe water, land, and air for our community. And whereas proper management of waste is key to preserving our environment and strengthening our economy. And whereas pollution prevention is a cost-effective management tool that can substantially reduce the generation and impact of waste, conserve resources, and protect the environment. And whereas recognizing Pollution Prevention Week and celebrating 33 years of the Pollution Prevention Act of 1990, where Congress declared it to be a national policy of the United States that pollution should be prevented or reduced at the source whenever possible and whenever feasible, where environmental sustainability provides an opportunity for our schools, businesses, citizens, and government to partner to work proactively together towards a prosperous and sustainable future. And whereas increasing awareness and attention to pollution prevention is in the best interest of MILLBRAE's environment and economy. Now, therefore, we, the members of the MILLBRAE City Council, do hereby proclaim September 18th to the 22nd of 2023 as National Pollution Prevention Week.
And Councilman Fun, I'm sorry, we have our Environmental Program Manager, Andrea Papajohn, coming up to tell us a little bit about what we will be doing.
Thank you, Mayor Schneider, City Council members, Andrea Papajohn, City of MILLBRAE. Could you please pull up just a couple slides? Thank you. So our mission in environmental programs is to build a sustainable MILLBRAE, and we have 3 key objectives. And our first objective is to reduce per capita water consumption. We work with BOSCA to partner with them to manage like 8 water conservation programs. And so we are trying to reach one of those key objectives to reduce per water capita consumption through these programs. And we thank our residents and businesses and schools for participating in those. The second key objective in environmental programs is to reduce greenhouse gases in our city and in our city operations. And the council adopted a MILLBRAE Climate Action Plan in 2020, There are 43 measures that we are developing and implementing to reduce greenhouse gases. There are state targets that we have to meet. And a couple of examples of those 43 measures are the bike share program, safe routes to school to get students to ride and walk as opposed to being driven in a car, and also promote commute alternatives to our staff and residents so they know alternatives to commute to work. Those are just a few examples of the 43 measures to help reduce greenhouse gases. And then the third key objective is to reduce the amount of waste to landfill. And as you know, the state mandated through SB 1383, reducing organic material to the landfill. And that target is to reduce organic material by 75% by 2025. So we are, really working hard with our businesses and residents to have each one of them compost, have a compost bin, compost service, and sort their organic material. So the next slide, please. So these are some of the events that are coming up for the fiscal year 23-24. Just wanted to, I won't go through all of them, but I just wanted to share them with the audience and anyone who may be watching. And as you can see, the first one is September 23rd, Saturday, Coastal Cleanup Day. It will be, so we could go to the next slide, thank you. It will be at MILLBRAE Central Park. We're meeting at 9:30, and everyone is welcome. The city will provide supplies such as litter picker-uppers and bags and gloves, and you don't need to register. You can come and join us, and we'll just be cleaning up around the park, the library, and the downtown area. And then we'll have lunch at about 11:30. So we hope everyone can join us. And then just the next slide, please. I just wanted to, thank our partner, South San Francisco Scavenger. They will be dropping off bins for this event, the trash bin, recycling, and the compost bin, and picking them up after the event. They support us in pretty much all of our environmental events and, as we know, many city events too. They're just incredibly reliable, and they provide an excellent service. So I just wanted to thank them for their service. So we hope you can join us on September 23rd, Saturday, and, hope to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to give staff, both Andrea, but Sam and the whole Public Works team, I don't know how many of you've noticed the quick build traffic slowdowns at Green Hill School and Meadows, and that's just phenomenal. Do you want to tell the public a little bit about that?
Thank you. Just one quick sentence. It's a demonstration project at Green Hills Elementary and Meadows Elementary, and the purpose is to create awareness for cars to try to slow down and create safer routes so students can walk or bike to school. And the demonstration, then there's a QR code and a survey, so we try to get input from the community to see if they like it, to get feedback, maybe make adjustments, and ultimately to see if we can install something more permanent. So thank you for that.
Congratulations on that. And I'm going to take this time to say the city of MILLBRAE hired a lobbyist last January. And today, the Senate Bill 676 by Senator Allen from Santa Monica, it cleared the last of the floor votes and is on its way to the governor. This would give the city the ability to place a permanent moratorium on artificial grass. What will be going along with that is an education program. We still have to get the governor to sign, so the mayor will be sending out a letter on this. But new studies are coming out from Lake Tahoe, from Switzerland, that the #1 form of plastic microparticulates in lakes are grass blades. So it's really actually a really exciting day that 2 of the 3 artificial turf bills that we're moving through Sacramento made it through 499 was killed and will come back next year. So good for that. And hopefully, I think the other bill that's moving to the governor's desk is to be careful with the application of artificial turf in schools and preschools because it gets very hot and little ones' bodies cannot handle the heat coming off of artificial turf and asphalt. But artificial turf can be 60, 80 degrees hotter than asphalt. So it's kind of been a good day for that. Thank you.
Thank you
And thank
very
you
much.
for
And thank you
everything.
for the proclamation.
Next up is a proclamation proclaiming September 21st, 2023 as Malta Independence Day. And we have the Honorable Consul Louis Vela accepting this. Louis, if you give me a moment to read this while I remember the great memories of our trip to Malta with our sister city. Whereas, as we commemorate the 59th Independence Day of Malta, we continue to reaffirm the strong and friendly ties that connect the city of MILLBRAE with the great people of Malta, and we salute the rich heritage of Maltese Americans. And whereas by celebrating Malta's Independence Day, we renew our commitment to enhancing professional, educational, and cultural exchange opportunities between the city of MILLBRAE and Malta. And whereas following a long tradition of kindness and collaboration, the city of MILLBRAE offers its good wishes and for a joyous celebration to the people of Malta on September 21st. And whereas the city of MILLBRAE is committed to working with the Honorable Consul General of Malta to encourage profound connections between the Maltese community and the people of the city of MILLBRAE. And whereas the city looks forward to a continued partnership and friendship with Malta as we work together to promote a rich mutual understanding through cultural exchanges. And whereas on Malta's Independence Day, we pay special tribute to the Maltese American community for their contributions to the city of MILLBRAE. And whereas MILLBRAE is proud to be the home of the Office of the Honorable Consul General of Malta, and we are appreciative of the important services provided in our region. Now, therefore, we, the members of the MILLBRAE City Council, do hereby proclaim September 21st, 2023 as Malta Independence Day.
Just a quick thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. It is true 59 years ago. The sovereignty of a nation passes from one country to another in a peaceful manner. And that's a huge lesson that it appears that we are lacking in learning with all the conflicts that we have nowadays. I mean, you're talking about releasing a country from a colony to become its own independent country in a peaceful, calm, and camaraderie. And it was an event that obviously in Malta it will be celebrated for many, many, many years to come. But the highlight of what we have today here is obviously the bond and the support and the friendship that we have with this great city of MILLBRAE and the community that we have here. So I thank you very much on behalf of the Maltese community, not only in MILLBRAE, but in California and the United States, and also our people in Malta, which I was lucky enough to visit just a few weeks ago. So thank you very much.
And Mr. Vela, before you leave, when we visited, the president had stepped down and she invited us to her location.
Right.
And we talked about, and I'm looking at Andrea right now, one of the things that the former president of Malta wants to work on is climate change. And now that we're coming out of COVID, I spoke at the Palestinian Day about how we can bring our children from various communities together, and working collaboratively across nations for climate change might be a really fun project. So something that I hope we'll do with my hat on as a LEO's advisor. But let's talk, and again, we were grateful, the lovely hospitality of the president of Malta.
Thank you.
On that.
And since you said that, I'm going to go off script a little bit. A couple of days ago, I just came back from Honduras. I was invited to speak to the world consuls in Honduras. And unbeknownst to me, they planted an olive tree in San Pedro Sula in Honduras. And unbeknownst to me, they mentioned that this was something that Louis Vela shared with us, that he was involved with in MILLBRAE, and I had no idea. So what we did here in MILLBRAE a year ago, they heard about it and they repeated it in San Pedro Sula, so in Honduras. So
That's absolutely beautiful.
Right.
For the people watching a year ago, the city of MILLBRAE, Mosta in Malta, our sister city, and Ramallah, our friendship city in Palestine, we simultaneously planted an olive tree, simulcast it at the same time, and now the Sister City Commission is working on the plaque on that. But to reach hands across the oceans is just gorgeous and beautiful.
It is. It was just last week. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
The next two proclamations I'm going to read, and we're going to have the same person, but she's wearing multiple hats. So let me see if I can get my hats correct today. Whereas the city of MILLBRAE will join the county, state, and country in raising awareness of suicide prevention, treatment, and recovery. And whereas this is an ongoing issue that silently affects millions of people globally with persistent mental health challenges. And whereas the city of MILLBRAE residents are urged to play a role in supporting each other and preventing suicide by knowing the signs of suicide, finding the words to communicate, and reaching out to local resources that are available 24 hours, 7 days a week, including our local San Mateo County Star Vista Crisis Hotline. And if you're ready with your pencils, 650-579-0350, or the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 988 or 1-800-273-TALK. And whereas residents can also play a role in suicide prevention by supporting local Suicide Prevention Month events, advocacy days such as National Suicide Prevention Week on September 4th to the 10th, we can celebrate it a little bit late, and World Suicide Prevention Day on September 10th, to spread the message that suicide can be prevented. And whereas beyond September, City of MILLBRAE has joined the San Mateo County Mayor's Mental Health Initiative, whereas mayors across 20 cities in San Mateo County have come together with the mission of promoting awareness of and access to mental health resources in their communities. And whereas those who are currently facing mental health issues and suicidal ideation, the City of MILLBRAE reminds residents and people to know that they are not alone, and resources for specific needs are widely available to everyone 24/7. Now, therefore, we, the members of MILLBRAE City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Suicide Prevention Month, and we call upon everyone in our community to find their role in suicide prevention. And in this case, we do have our San Mateo County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Office of Diversity and Equity volunteer, Sherry Bowles, and she's going to join us in a moment. Our second proclamation is, whereas the month of September 2023 is National Recovery Month, and whereas National Recovery Month spreads the positive message that behavioral health is essential to overall health, and whereas treatment and prevention providers across the communities of San Mateo County have dedicated themselves to promoting recovery, saving lives, destigmatizing and educating the public about substance use and co-occurring disorders, and whereas every day in the city of MILLBRAE, men, women, and youth enter treatment for substance use and mental health disorders and begin the road to wellness and recovery in a system which emphasizes behavioral health as an essential part of overall health. And whereas the San Mateo County continues to support Recovery Month's mission to improve the lives of those living with these disorders, to celebrate individuals in recovery, and to acknowledge those working to provide integrated recovery services. And whereas prevention works, treatment is effective, and recovery is possible, and whereas people can and do recover, now, therefore, we, the members of MILLBRAE City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2023 as Recovery Happens Month. Let us all remember that while the road to recovery may be difficult, the benefits of preventing and overcoming substance abuse and co-occurring disorders are significant and valuable to individuals, families, and communities. Let us remember that there are multiple pathways to recovery, and let us remember everyone's journey results in their own unique experience of recovery. In this spirit, this year's theme is Recovery is for everyone, every person, every family, every community. Ms. Bowles, if you can join us, her other hat on behalf of San Mateo County Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, and community partners, Voices of Recovery, San Mateo County, volunteer Sherry Bowles. And I thought all of council might want to join us on this, but please join us and say a few words, then we'll come and take a photo over here. It's a tricky mic.
Good evening, Mayor Schneider, Vice Mayor Goodman, and council members Fung, Cahalan, and Papin. My name is Sherry Bowles, and I'm a volunteer with San Mateo County's Behavioral Health and Recovery Services, Office of Diversity and Equity. Thank you very much for joining the county and nearly all of your neighboring cities and towns in proclaiming September as Suicide Prevention Month and Recovery Happens Month. I am honored to accept your Suicide Prevention Month proclamation on behalf of the county's Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Office, and I am pleased to accept the Recovery Happens Month proclamation on behalf of our community partner, Voices of Recovery, San Mateo County. For September is Suicide Prevention Month, I encourage you and MILLBRAE residents to promote this year's theme, Share Hope Together. The act of sharing, whether it's through sharing stories, your time, resources, or your experiences, can serve as a powerful tool in suicide prevention. I'm sharing hope today by wearing purple and teal, the national colors of Suicide Prevention Month, and using this year's theme as a Zoom background on my laptop, which can be found on the county's website. I also have purple and teal ribbons for all of you. So together, we can share hope by knowing the signs of suicide, finding the words by checking in with someone we are concerned about, and sharing resources, including the San Mateo County Star Vista Crisis Hotline, which is 650-579-0350-988, which is the newish 3-digit National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and the county's website at smchealth.org/SPM, where you can also find free events and resources. So for example, the county's Behavioral Health and Recovery Services Office is offering a series of free trainings called Be Sensitive, Be Brave, which are in the format of a 2-hour-long workshop that teaches you to be the eyes and ears for an individual experiencing suicidal distress and to connect that person with resources. They're being held at libraries throughout the county, and in fact, there is one on Thursday, September 21st, 3 to 5 p.m. at the MILLBRAE Library. For Recovery Happens Month, I'm honored to represent our community partner, Voices of Recovery, San Mateo County, which is a nonprofit, peer-led organization whose mission is to advocate for and support the recovery community, people overcoming drug and or alcohol addictions. This year's theme is Recovery is for Everyone, every person, every family, every community. Voices of Recovery encourages collaboration with everyone to increase public awareness surrounding substance use and mental health recovery. By working together and with everyone, Voices of Recovery is pleased to report that yes, prevention works, treatment is effective, and people can and do recover. For more information on Recovery Happens Month and to learn about recovery events for everyone, I encourage you and MILLBRAE residents to please visit the county's website at smchealth.org/event/national-recovery-month. So thank you again for recognizing September as both Suicide Prevention Month and Recovery Happens Month in MILLBRAE. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bowles, a couple of years ago, I attended as an advisor a training for high school students to talk and to recognize the signs for their own age group. I think it was done by Star Vista.
Okay.
Is there, and Councilman Fung is our liaison to our Youth Advisory Committee, is there a program that's sort of peer-peer, youth on that? And as I told you earlier, I lost a friend in high school right after graduation, jumping in front of the train many decades ago.
Your friend Lenny, right?
On that. So a way to reach out to our young people with everything that they're going through right now.
Absolutely. So the trainings that I just mentioned, they're geared specifically for high school age and older. So we do encourage you to visit the San Mateo County website, go to Suicide Prevention Month, and it'll give you the listing of the in-person, and there's also virtual trainings.
Excellent, thank you. Council, would you like to come and do a group photo here? And get our purple and green pins? Yeah, over with the stairs. The podium is for August. Green or purple? Purple, I think. Talk tomorrow. Green, purple? We did green, it's purple, and then it's pink for domestic violence. So it's, okay.
Madam Mayor?
Purple for this. We'll have a domestic violence coming up shortly. Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you, thank you.
Real quick. If I could? I just want to remember, or have everybody remember, that the threat of suicide happens at all different ages. And another group that's very vulnerable are our seniors. So please remember, because actually this week's the anniversary, I lost a friend too. So just reaching out to somebody is the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, agenda item number 2. This is agenda overview and staff briefing, which includes calendar of events, report of bills and claims. I'm taking the city manager's role. City manager, please
So, Mayor,
take it away.
You're doing a fine job. You can go ahead. So as you know, I'm no longer going to go over the agenda, so I'll just jump right into to my report. So real quick, today the Board of Supervisors approved the purchase of the La Quinta Hotel here in the city of MILLBRAE for permanent supportive housing. In their motion, the board directed the drafting of an MOU between the county and the city of MILLBRAE, and they were very specific on the content of the MOU. So just in summary, it included 3 years of lost transit occupancy tax revenue to the city, 3 years of funding 2 deputies. The housing will be, the 99 units at the hotel will be remodeled for 75 units, of which 45 will be family units with 30 units for seniors for a total of 75. So that was the action today. I know it's not on the agenda. I wanted to report that to you, and there will be more to come as we agendize this for
Didn't we get a
MOU review.
clinician as well?
And a clinician,
Yes.
correct. 2 sheriff deputies and a
Even though they
clinician.
don't recognize that we have the MILLBRAE Police Bureau.
Yes, but I'm just reporting it. We will be putting it on the agenda for discussion at a future meeting. So real quick, there are a lot of great things that are happening in MILLBRAE, and I wanted to share those with you. Solar panel installation, repaving of Lincoln Circle, tennis court resurfacing, that long-awaited tennis court resurfacing, El Camino Real median design, and then just a series of events. So Eduardo, I just have a few photos here I wanted to share with the city council. The solar installation, these are 2 photos of 11,000 square feet of solar panels that are currently being installed at the Recreation Center. The objective is to operate the Recreation Center at net zero. It was approved with the REACH codes as a fully electric facility. The completion and the installation of solar panels will be the end of October. This is a great partnership between the city and Peninsula Clean Energy on a power purchase agreement where PCE purchases and installs a solar panel. And at 5% less than what we pay PG&E in our monthly utility bill, we pay that to PG&E over several years to pay off the solar panel and the installation cost. So this is a great partnership and a great way to get solar installed on the recreation center. Next, as part of the project is the Lincoln Circle repaving. This is kind of hard to see, but the horseshoe there that fronts the recreation center on the bottom in Central Park surrounds the apartment buildings right off of Richmond Drive. That entire loop has new water mains, new sewer mains. If you go to the next slide, please. On the left, it shows the electrical conduit that was recently installed in the last couple of days, and on the right, it shows the new streetlights. There are 6 new streetlights that are being installed. So once that's done here, I believe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, the repaving of this street will start. So this is going to be great for the neighborhood. This is a street that was tons of alligators, potholes. I mean, it was one of the worst streets that we've had or have in the city. So great news there. Also, I had mentioned the tennis court resurfacing. That's a photo on the left. The surface is currently in the curing process before they apply the final surface and painting for the striping of the tennis court. So I know this has been a long-awaited project. Probably, I would think, Councilmember Pappen, at least 10 years in the waiting. So this will be done also mid of October. On the right is just a photo. We had a design charrette with the staff and our landscape architect planning out the El Camino Real median landscaping. I think everyone knows that our medians down El Camino Real are in dire need of improvement. We will be bringing the same charrette to the city council for the first meeting in October. So you will get to weigh in here very early on in terms of the vision and the concepts of replanting our medians along El Camino Real. And then just quick upcoming events. September 13th, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m. is the MILLBRAE outreach meeting regarding the Parklet program guidelines and parking study focus group. This will be here in the city council chambers. We've invited the community and our business owners to that meeting. Saturday, September 16th, 9 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. is Relay for Life of North Peninsula. This is at MILLBRAE Central Park, so that's this coming Saturday, the 16th. Thursday, September 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. is our Beats, Brews, and Vines featuring a great band we had last year, very popular band, Joint Chiefs. The last concert series we had downtown was our best yet with just a terrific reggae band. So we hope everybody comes out and enjoys the last of the summer concert series. Saturday, September 23rd, as Andrea said, this is our Coastal Cleanup Day, 9:30 to 12 p.m. That's also the first day, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. In downtown, 200 and 400 blocks of Broadway, the Mid-Autumn Festival. So join us for Coastal Cleanup Day, and then together we can walk and enjoy the festival on Saturday afternoon. Then next we have just a couple of exciting things, hard to see on that, but MILLBRAE Montessori School. Montessori School is who we have a lease with to operate the preschool at the Recreation Center. They opened today, September 12th was their first day that they're open. They're now enrolling and accepting applications. So you can contact the number 650-588-2229 or email millbraemontessorischool@gmail.com. So again, MILLBRAE Montessori School, all one word, @gmail.com. And then we have free water conservation devices for MILLBRAE residents and businesses. They can come by City Hall and pick them up while we're open, 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, or they can set up an appointment to pick them up on our bit.ly/MILLBRAE/water/conservation. These are low-flow shower heads, low-flow watering nozzles for your hoses, that type of thing, that we will provide to our residents at no cost. And then Planning Commission recruitment. We still continue to receive applications and recruit for Planning Commission applications through September 18th. The Planning Commission serves as a recommending and decision-making body for land use, zoning, and development, other related matters regarding the built environment to the City Council. And so for more information, you can contact our city clerk at 650-259-2300. 2414 or visit our MILLBRAE website. And just everything that's been going on. I know we've been busy with other things. The council's certainly been busy with your month off in August. I would just like to thank our great team. Our staff has been very, very busy, and they've just been solid. I mean, our team comes together, all departments, Recreation, Public Works, Planning, Finance, City Clerk's Office, everybody just doing a great job each and every day for the city. And we're seeing some really outstanding work. So I'd just like to thank all of our employees for the great teamwork and great work. And lastly, you know what a sports fan I am? You cannot get to from San Francisco to Santa Clara without going through MILLBRAE. What a great game the 49ers had in the opening and pounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. So congratulations, San Francisco 49ers, making us proud here in the Bay Area. So Mayor, that concludes my update.
And I see that we've got, before we get to the report out on closed session, council comments or requests. Sorry, MCTV. Before we get to report out of August 16th, 2023 closed session, any council comments or requests? And I'll start this off because I'm looking at our chief there. The SAL fundraiser is being hosted here in MILLBRAE. And I know that I challenged the city manager for a basket, and I believe Councilwoman Pappen and chief. What are our due dates for that? And what's the date? And city manager, will we be buying a table or two? So we might, lately, our committee and commissioners, we've been buying tables at events and then bringing some of our committee and commissioners as a way of saying thank you, but also a way of growing the city council replacements on that. So what is our deadline for baskets? And it's the 26th? I keep confusing my dates. Oh, it's the 28th. So it's Thursday the 28th? Thursday the 28th is the Sheriff Activity League fundraiser for the first time ever in MILLBRAE at our rec center. I think the public can buy tickets. We haven't had one of these in person since before COVID. I will tell you, they are fun, great silent auction, great food, great getting to meet with people. And City Clerk, I need your help with my basket. So there we go. I've been trying to come up with a theme. But the chief already told me what he's going to do, and no one's going to touch the chief's basket. Tom will be bidding on the chief's basket on that one. Chief, you want to tell us what it is?
Sure, it's 4 tickets and a parking pass to a 49er.
Oh, wow.
So for that, the chief is donating 4 tickets to the 49er Buccaneers game in November, plus some other bells and whistles on it. So I think he's got us beat, but we will work hard on that. With that, report out on the August 16th, 2023 meeting. Closed session.
I can report out on it. So there is nothing to report. The outcome of that closed session, however, was a letter that was signed by all 5 council members that went out to all the housing advocates to support the adopted and approved 480 housing units here in the city of MILLBRAE over surface parking.
And I want to give a thank you to the mayor of Hillsborough, who has completed a letter and sent it off and sent us a CC on that. So thank you, Hillsborough. So the first letter that I'm aware of coming in on that. All right, moving to approval of minutes. This is agenda item number 3. We have the regular meeting minutes of April 25th, 2023. It's an action. And the special meeting minutes of May 6th, 2023, also in action. Council comments.
Move approval?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Pappen, seconded by Vice Mayor Goodman. Any discussion? City Clerk, could you call the vote, please?
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Councilmember Fung?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Snyder?
Aye.
The meeting minutes for regular meeting of April 25th and special meeting of May 6th passed by a vote of 5-0.
City Manager, I made a mistake. There has been a request to pull 2 items from consent calendar, and then former Mayor Margie Colapietro would like to comment on agenda item number 6, so I believe we need to pull agenda item number 6 too.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Moving on to oral reports from city committees and commissions.
Do we have one more meeting to approve?
Oh, I thought we did them together.
Oh, did we? That's fine.
Did we do them together?
Okay, great. Perfect, thank you.
Is that what you seconded?
Oh, I'm sure that's what I motioned.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 4, oral report from city committee and commission chairs. We have none tonight. Next up is public communications. These are for items that are not on tonight's agenda. You will have 3 minutes. Hopefully, I have, after the way the September 1st meeting was, I only have 4 comments here, so 3 minutes. We do this in Wordify. If you are out there on Zoom and you need a translator, please make sure that the city clerk or our program manager, Eduardo, knows so that they can get that set up for you ahead of time. And that is written in the front of our agenda every time now. So first up, Kathleen Kimura and Masami and Naomi of the Japanese Cultural Festival. Please join us.
Thank you, Mayor Schneider, MILLBRAE City Council people. We're basically here today to announce the 18th annual MILLBRAE Japanese Culture Festival, which is going to be held on Sunday, October the 1st. With me today is Masami Saisu and Naomi Yamaguchi, who are members of our 7-member committee, who have been working hard putting this together. We'd really like to thank the City of MILLBRAE, Public Works Department and Recreation Departments, because they have been invaluable in the way that they have been supporting us now for the 18th, almost 18 years. And also a shout out to our MILLBRAE Leos and also to our Mills High School Interact Club, who provides students every year who volunteer. And without volunteers, youth and adults, the festival would not happen. We're very proud to have sponsors this year. We have more vendors than we did last year. We will have more food than we had last year because we ran out at about 12:30 last year. So we've doubled or tripled our food orders. And also we have a new Japanese Consul General coming into town, and he, I believe, is going to be coming to our festival, which will be, I think, one of his first public appearances. I'm very happy to report that one of our most recent community members, Longfellow, have come in as a gold sponsor this year. We haven't had a gold sponsor in, gosh, many years. So we're very appreciative and grateful for that. And thank you for the introduction to those people who've been very supportive. South San Francisco Scavenger continue to support us. I noticed they were mentioned earlier with everything else. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. We only have 3 minutes. No?
I will only tell the public this is a lot of fun and a lot of entertainment. Bring a hat.
Yes, well, we don't know what the weather's going to be like quite yet, but, you know, we're getting more and more people coming from the wider Bay Area. The festival has grown over the last few years, so we're looking forward to welcoming everyone to MILLBRAE. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, Michael Kelly.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, esteemed City Council, City staff in the room. A couple of items I wanted to talk about. The National Hispanic Heritage Month is fantastic. I'm so pleased that you acknowledged it. You may recall from years past, the MILLBRAE Anti-Racist Coalition had some custom artwork generated in partnership with the city. It's a banner. It has both of our logos on it. I understand now there may be an issue using the ARC logo, but we have this in banner format. We have it in high-res digital format. Maybe it could go up on the billboard on northbound 101 at MILLBRAE Avenue. Just let me know if you want a digital version of it. We'd be happy to help with that. That would be really great. If we need to cover up the logo, I know in the last time that came around, it was duct tape over. Maybe we can find a clean way to do that if the city is not comfortable having the MILLBRAE ARC logo there. The second item is geared towards City Manager Tom Williams, Vice Mayor Maurice Goodman, and Councilman Anders Fung. Would love to get just a very brief update on where we're at with social equity and the consulting firm that's been hired. I think it's EJ Consulting.
I believe we're going to have that on the agenda tonight.
It is on the agenda?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, good. I'll look forward to that then. The last item was to congratulate the 3 council members that signed that letter for the housing at La Quinta. I thought it was a mistake. I thought it was ill-fated. I thought it wouldn't succeed. I was wrong. at the Board of Supervisors meeting today in San Mateo. The City of MILLBRAE was able to successfully extract an extra $1 million from the county, 2 additional TOT years, an extra deputy. I'll be the first one to stand up and say if I'm wrong about something, and the letter worked, your approach worked, an extra $1 million is huge. I'm surprised it happened. I'm thrilled it happened. The things to minimize the impact to the revenue of MILLBRAE is really important. I happen to be for the project, but ultimately, you know, if it was going to cost us a lot of money, the other good piece of news, and I know City Manager referenced it, is while these things are for 2 or 3 years, the county did commit to revisit that and write it up in the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, that at the end of that timeline, they will remain open to using Measure K funds and other funding sources to make sure MILLBRAE is made whole. So I stand corrected. Your approach worked. Congratulations to you and to the City of MILLBRAE. I think we're in better shape now. Thank you very much.
Marge Colapietro.
Getting shorter every day. Good evening. I'm here just on my own opinion to give a great, big, humongous thank you to every department in this city in our for the Art and Wine Festival. Now, these are all my opinions. I'm not speaking on behalf of the chamber, but you may hear from them. And this fair was the most wonderful fair that I can could just imagine, and one of the best that we've had here before. And I was when I was going around talking to the people, welcoming them, they say, oh, my gosh, you have the best Art and Wine Festival. And so I decided to say, well, what do you like best about it? And some of the younger people say food, of course. And the older people say beer, of course. And the one thing that struck me, and I mentioned it to Chief Allen while I was there, that a lady said, I'm coming back to your festival next year. I love this festival. I said, well, what do you love about it? And she said, because you have many firefighters out, you have the policemen out. Why are they riding bicycles in the crowd? And she feels very safe because she told me that she was at another festival and someone went by and shoved her and pulled her purse off her shoulder. So it was just amazing, and I don't want to leave anybody out of this. And I just am so grateful, and I'm just still kind of almost my feet on the ground. But so thank you, and your departments deserve praise from everybody. And of course, we had a lot of help from the Scouts and the Leos and other youth groups. And the chamber does, after all is said and done, from the proceeds every year, the schools and the Leos and the Lions get monetary help from the Chamber of Commerce. Not too many people know about that, but I'm telling you that that's something really terrific that the Chamber does for our community. So thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Mayor Emeritus Colapietro. Ron Raquel. And that is the last one I have. Do we have anyone on Zoom? Well, Mr. Raquel is walking here. Last call for any public comments not on the agenda. Go ahead, Mr. Raquel.
Hi, City Council. My name is Ron Raquel. I just want to give you an update on the MILLBRAE Magnolia Avenue intersection. Caltrans rejected our plea for a grant. As usual, MILLBRAE gets the middle of a donut. What do you get in the middle of a donut? A fat zero. And unfortunately, Armando has to go back to the drawing board to try to get a grant. I got over 300 signatures, and I thought that was sufficient enough, but evidently we did not give ample information. We checked all the check marks off. Hopefully, we can get this, because I strongly urge the city council to reach out to me, because I know you've had other issues like Quinta on your mind, but hopefully we can talk about this, because it's an accident waiting to happen with a pedestrian or cars. I mean, it's just flabbergasted me for over the 5 years that I've crossed that intersection. It's better to be proactive than reactive, and I mean, one accident too many or fatality is not something that we want to look at. And I hope you can, I've emailed the council, and hopefully we can have a civil discourse on this issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Raquel. Any further slips? Slips are closing. City Clerk, Eduardo, anybody on Zoom? Okay, seeing no one on Zoom, closing public comment, moving on to consent calendar. So with the removal of 6, 10, and 11, right, Councilwoman? If I could have a motion for the following. Agenda item number 5, waive the second reading and adopt an ordinance amending Title 10, Planning and Zoning, Chapter 10.05, Zoning, Article 2, Definitions, Article XXXII, Accessory Dwelling Units, and adding Article XXXV, Objective Standards and Affordability Requirements for 2-unit residential development and urban lot splits in single-family residential zones. This is an action item. Agenda item number 7, adoption of a resolution accepting the 2022 pavement rehabilitation project as complete and authorizing the filing of a notice of completion, also an action item. Agenda item 8, adoption of a resolution accepting the Skyline Water Tank Replacement Project as complete and authorizing the filing of a notice of completion, action item. Agenda item 9, adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute a contract change order for the Skyline Tank Drain Line Project with the West Valley Construction Incorporated, and that too is an action item. If I could have a motion in a second.
So move on item number 5, 7, 8, and 9.
Thank you, Councilman.
Pappen, second.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any further discussion? If you could call the vote, please.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaelin?
Aye.
Councilmember Fung?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Snyder?
Aye.
Consent item 5, 7, 8, and 9 passed by a vote of 5-0.
City Manager, I do have a request. Probably I need an update for you and Mr. Batista on why the water district or the California Water Board is making us waste water by putting it in a storm drain instead of watering a park. But if we can do that, I think we need to send a letter to the Water Board with this silly rule on that. We'll approve it, but silly rule. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6. This is adoption of a resolution approving an amendment to the construction contract for the Upper Hillcrest Subbasement 4 Pavement Repair Project. It's an action item. Staff, do you have a presentation or comments?
No presentation or comments, Madam Mayor.
I know that Mayor Emeritus Marge Colapietro lives on El Paseo, and that was a big part of the agenda item. Councilwoman, I'm sorry, Ms. Colapietro, would you like to come up and speak on this issue? I have it right here.
John. Henry and John are here. Are my neighbors. And I just want to encourage you, I noticed that part of the action that we wanted to have regarding these sidewalks has been, I guess, put into the recommendation for repair works. And it's a smart recommendation because there's no point in spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair the street and have the gutters, the curbs and the sidewalk edges falling apart. That's not good. So you don't want to put good money after bad or good, whatever that saying is, and do all of this wonderful work and then have the water that comes from the broken curbs and the gutters all crush up the brand new street pavement. And I'll just tell you something quick, just to, one of our neighbors is 79 years old. So, and thank you to staff that had come over and had a couple street meetings with our neighborhood, and Tom came over once, and we're talking about it, and he's 79 years old, and he lives in that same house where he came home after he was born, so he's been there 79 years. So I just said, I asked him, and his name's John too, so I said, John, aren't you 79 years in your house? Oh, yes, yes. I said, well, during those 79 years, how many times have you seen the city of MILLBRAE come and give our separate little small street any repairs? And he's kind of funny too. And he says, well, the only repairs I would see was when they came through with little pancakes of, what do you call that? Asphalt in circles, putting little little pancakes to cover the water. And there was one time about a year or so ago that there was a water spout that was right in the middle of the street, and they did take care of that. So I'm urging you to please approve the recommendation from city council, from the city staff, of including that now into the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colapietro. Any further public comments? If you'd like to comment, could you fill out a speaker slip and come on up? You come on up and then do it after. That's fine. But let us know your name for the public record.
Yeah, my name is John Yan. I also live on the 300 block of El Paseo. To the council, also city manager, appreciate Tom, you coming out to visit our block. I just wanted to reinforce or reiterate some of the comments that Marge had made regarding the conditions on our block. The senior engineer, Armando, came out and spoke with us. The conditions, a lot of it, which is in the report, have dilapidated curbs, and there's little to no curb. And so I'm, in a way, just re-paraphrasing what Marge has said. It would be a shame for us to go through, repave the street, but not address the curb, especially given the fact that that particular block experiences a lot of water flow from the spur trail behind it. The neighbor to my left experiences extreme flooding every winter. She's using a sump pump right now to pump out all the water from her home. And it's just a strain on the neighbors. We did I think we experienced quite a bit of work for the sewer repair earlier this winter, and as a result, the block was inundated with quite a bit of water. It was like going through major puddles. I think that would be repaired from the pavement work, but as a result of that, also the curb and the sidewalk experienced quite a deluge of a bit of water. So just wanted to reinforce and hope to express support for the added incremental work that the engineer Armando had recommended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, last call for public comment. Right up here, and just hand it to the city clerk when you're done. Thank you. Last call, closing public comment, bringing it back to council.
Move
Discussion.
approval?
Thank you, Councilwoman Pappen.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Fung. Any discussion? City clerk, could you call the vote?
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Councilmember Fung?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Aye.
Mayor Snyder?
Aye.
Consent item number 6 passed by a vote of 5-0.
And thank you to the public. It is not often that the public comes and says thank you for something and doing it well. So congratulations, staff. Moving on to agenda item number 10. This is approved by motion to authorize the vice mayor to attend the National League of Cities City Summit in Atlanta, and it is an action item. And staff, is there a report or a comment, or do I bring it up to the council member that wanted it pulled?
Yes, Mayor, we can just answer any questions that the council may have.
Okay, Councilwoman Pappen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Since this is, I don't think we have,
I think we need to.
okay. I don't think we have a formal policy, but we discussed this when the mayor took a trip. This is about $3,000 and out-of-state travel here. I think we should come up with a policy that if this type of expenditure is made, that there is a report out and the relevancy to the city as to such trips when they are completed, just so we all get a briefing on that. Again, I don't think we have a formal policy. We probably should. I don't know how you go about that, but I believe the public should be entitled to that when we're expending funds.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other comments? Councilwoman Cahalan?
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be great. Also, as I reviewed the sessions at this conference, there was so much that looked relevant to MILLBRAE, and maybe this is something looking forward as we create that policy, that this is a conference that we send 1 or 2 people to every year, just because there's so many issues. I could see many sessions relating to our different subcommittees. So I look forward to hearing about this conference and seeing if it's something we should do annually.
Thank you. I agree, if there's no other comments, I agree that I think it would be good to have a policy. As the person who went to Washington, D.C. in March, I am really happy to say, and I don't see Sam, where is he? That the city has been participating in the boot camp for grant funding. There's a new grant program coming up right now for climate change work. These are things that we made the connections. And for the vice mayor, when he goes to Atlanta, there are 2 meetings that may not show up, but the National League of Cities does something that I'm encouraging Cal Cities to do, and it's called the first tier cities. First tier cities are cities that are basically a suburb of a major city, and often experience the same problems of that major city without the funding for that. So for example, it can be San Francisco dealing with homeless, and then the homeless end up on BART and get pushed off BART. I heard from another first-tier city outside of Chicago where they're a part of their subway L system, but they don't get the funding to maintain their stations, but Chicago does. So there can be a lot of work there with first tiers. They continue to have, I think it's about quarterly meetings, but I think being in person is really important in there. And I think finding out the grant programs, making connections with a lot of the free services that National League of Cities provides to the city. We have MCTV, but they have a whole video company that will come and help do spotlight city videos. I didn't want to take that away from MTC, but they have a lot of things. But I really would hope that, Vice Mayor, when you go, please attend the first tier meeting. And they also do an airport meeting, which is more my specialty with SFO, but if you could please attend that and meet with that. I think it's really an amazing experience. And again, I never did a written one, I did report back. If you want a written report, we need to put that into some kind of policy. I can't remember our goal setting. I know I tried to get an update of city committees and commissions. I don't remember if we got policy protocol updates, and maybe that's the place to put that. And with that, I'm happy to make, I can't make a motion.
Well, can I'd like to make a motion of approval, since we don't have a formal thing, is that whoever attends out-of-state conferences like this report back to the council in an open session. I think that's sufficient enough at this point in time. So that would be my motion.
So we, a motion?
Second?
Okay. Well, we've got an open motion. I'm sorry, Gina, can you hang on to that, please?
Sure.
I don't see Zoom calls, my apologies. Public comment. City Clerk, if you could call the people on public comment.
Okay, the first speaker is Grace. And Grace, if you could unmute yourself and speak, please.
Yes, good evening. I had wanted this item pulled. Originally, I was going to wait and sleep on this issue a little bit, but then I saw that item number 10 was to authorize the vice mayor to attend the National League of Cities Summit. And I feel that I need to speak now. While discussing the La Quinta project on Nextdoor, Goodman's daughter, Destiny, posted some comments that I felt were offensive enough to report to Nextdoor. Thus, I clicked on her name to begin the reporting process and noticed her bio. Her bio...
City Manager, do I need to interrupt this comment?
I'm sorry?
I think she wants you not to go.
I'm sorry?
Oh, okay. Ms. Zarab, if you could keep that to public officials and not children.
It's not a child, it's an adult.
We're going to have the city attorney weigh in here.
Yeah, we need to speak to the item.
Okay.
And yeah, the item is whether the council should approve the out-of-state travel. For
Yes,
Vice Mayor.
I'm getting to that.
Okay, if you could go to that right now, please, Ms. Zarab.
I'm sorry?
Please get to the agenda item, which is approval of the vice mayor to attend the National League of Cities. And
Okay. The vice mayor made an extremely offensive and racist comment to me. I asked him if he approved of the comment. I'm honestly the only one here to piss off the old, uneducated white people on this app.
Ms. Zarab.
I didn't
Vice
say it.
Mayor.
I didn't say it. And again, like I said, either
Can I finish
council
my
or
comment?
council mayor or legal should either stop it, but I'm not going to sit here and allow her to attack my daughter, who's a
No, I'm
college
not
student.
attacking the daughter. She could do whatever she
Okay, then,
wants.
so
City
don't mention
attorney,
anything that has to do with my daughter on social media. This is not a social media council meeting.
I think
This
you
is
need to
council.
start the time
So.
again.
So, Mr. Goodman responded to me.
Like
Grace, are you that intimidated by my blackness and that of the lived experience of a college student that you will latch onto anything just to get a gotcha moment? And as I said before...
Yeah, Mayor, I do not think that
Okay,
this is in keeping with the agenda item.
Okay. The item is to approve a council member's attendance at the National League of Cities. Ms. Zarab, we hear that you do not think that that should happen on this, but we do ask you to leave our families out of this and to direct the question of the appropriateness of a council member attending the National League of Cities. Ms. Zarab?
If she's going to focus, but again, I'm not allowed to respond. And
No,
so,
right.
you understand, so it's not a one-way gotcha moment like she just stated.
The time has expired anyway, Mayor.
Okay. Can we move on to the second person on Zoom? I think we got her point.
The second speaker is Karen. Karen, if you could go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to comment because this came up at my work. The state of California prohibits travel on state funds to many states. So I think Georgia is one of them. And I'm not sure if this would be state funds or not, but I think you should look at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And if you could give the city clerk your full name. City
Yeah, Mayor,
manager, do we have a
This is not
policy?
state funded, it's local funded, and we're not regulated by the state of California on this action.
I would like to follow up on that, though. Yeah, I do believe the state's policy is very relevant to the state laws here, and we probably should look at what states have been restricted, and as a matter of our own policy. I don't know if Georgia is on there, but It's probably a good idea for future discussions here to really address that, because we have state laws that were enacted here, and certain other states are directly inconsistent with that, and to expend city funds in those states, I do think we should try to look at that. Again, I'm not sure which states that the state of California has restricted travel to, but I would support that within our jurisdiction as well. But we'd have to look more into details as to the exact reason the state did so. We don't have that information at this point in time, but I would suggest that we do look at that formally.
For the future?
Yes, I mean, we can't do anything.
City
right now.
manager, a lot of these banning of travel have to do with political aspects. So is this something, some of them are social, I think most of them tend to be social related. Is this something that could be referred to the Social Equity Commission once it's created?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One is, depending on the motion, I'd like to address what I heard, 2 policies, which is basically we could fold into one out-of-state travel policy. And that is, one is to look at perhaps consistency with the state of California in terms of their travel bans. And then the other is, part of that policy then is to include a report back from whoever's traveling out of state to report back on the findings of the trip. I think that is different, though, than the item that's before you to approve the budget for the out-of-state travel.
So with Councilman Fung.
Thank you. Just a little bit of clarification, City Manager. Does our general fund, any portion of that come from state revenue?
No, it does not.
No, it does not. Okay. Legal? City Attorney? You're working.
Trying to remember, this came up recently in the transit world. I think some time ago there was a movement starting at the state level not to approve or support travel to states that were anti-LGBTQ plus, had policies in that realm. I was just quickly, Councilmember Pam, just looking up to see where things stood. I'm looking at, California lawmakers voted to repeal that travel ban. I'm not sure where it stands. That was in place for a while. I'm not sure where it is right now. I believe that was the focus of the ban when it went into place.
And that's restricted to state-funded travel, is that?
Yes, it was restricted to travel for state employees.
Okay, so we have nothing to do with that. Is that true?
Without effect here, it could be a consideration of whatever policy this council.
I found the I can enlighten. Sure. So AB 1887 restricts state travel to Missouri, Nebraska, and Wyoming as a result of anti-LGBTQ plus legislation recently enacted in those states.
So, sounds like what we have here is 2 questions. The first question is, 3 questions. Whether or not we should approve this motion. Second, should there not be that policy, and that policy will need to be developed somehow. Third, the person who seeks that travel reimbursement, would it not agree to come back to the council with some sort of a briefing as to the relevance and benefits to the people of MILLBRAE, since we're traveling on their dime, for lack of better words. Assuming, I assume the Vice Mayor would you not agree to come back with a briefing as to what that conference would entail and the success of those
Is this
meetings?
a no negotiation, or are you
No,
saying?
no,
I'm just saying I
No,
would
no,
like to
wait.
be held, hold on, I would like to be held to the same standards prior travel, and if we'd like to revisit this and set policy based on future travel, I would do that. But all I'm saying is for us to get here and then go back and say, hey, this was never done in the past. And to that, I'd ask questions. Have we done this in the past?
Yes.
As council members went to out-of-state travel in the past, yes or no?
Yes. we have.
And were they asked to do this? And if so, yes, it's a good thing, and yes, I'm not opposed to doing that, but make sure everything is consistent, that we're not moving the goalposts based on individuals in the community that have gripes.
Let me
with-
try
with
that.
me. That's all. So
Let
all
me
I'm
try
saying
that.
is, let's
Yeah.
focus on the future.
Right.
I will do what I believe is right as a council member based on the policies that we currently have.
Okay.
And that's what I will do. But as far
Councilman,
as
can I-
telling me to do something that other council members have not been held responsible or accountable to do this year, that's not going to happen. And that's just on principle.
Let me step in, Councilman, and then I'll let you go. This is my 8th year on city council. We went through COVID years. I cannot recall until I went to Washington, D.C., that we had as a council approved out-of-state travel. I think there was a previous councilman, it was a discussion, and I think they voted that he could not use city funding on that. And I agreed for the April trip or the March trip to report back. So I think asking us to report back is reasonable. I would actually
course
love
it's
to have a standing agenda item for it so that we're not trying to rush it in at the minute and we can actually share what we learned on that. So I think it's consistent. I think the policy is a good idea. So I don't think at this point it has anything to do, but it does show the need to develop a policy that we're consistent always and across the board on that. And I think we've got the city manager's approval or okay that we can get this to us. We've not done out-of-state travel. It's really only for National League of Cities. Any of the sister city trips, we pay our own way.
Right, and I agree with
On that. So it's just not come up in 8 years other than, and I think that might even have been before I was on council. It's been a really, really, really long time. Councilman Fung.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to address that. It's not a negotiation. It's not.
It is part of my motion.
Oh, now, then you
if-
might need to restate that motion, because that's not.
I did.
Something easy, folks. It's been a long day.
Can I
Please.
finish? Sorry, Gina. So it's not a negotiation, Vice Mayor, right? And I will say on the record, if I were to travel, whether it is out of state or overseas or wherever, on behalf of city stipend, I would want to report out to our
And I
public.
didn't say I wouldn't. I said I would.
Yeah, and so it's just good practice for us to do so, and that's part of the accountability. So that's all I'm trying to say.
Right, and that point is taken, but at the same time, I asked a simple question.
Yeah.
Has it happened? Did we get a report out
Right, so.
from the last
Let
conference
me-
in a way that you're expecting to be put in a policy? If we did, there would have been no need to say, let's make sure we get a report out. It would have been, hey, let's follow the same process.
Gentlemen, can we, we almost have a motion. I
have
hear
a
the
motion.
conversation, but it's actually not that late, but for some of us, it's been a very, very long
Right.
day. Can we agree that we treat everyone equally and everyone exactly the same?
And I want to say I have. And I want to say I have. Because last time when, Mayor, you were requesting for that travel, I asked for the same thing.
Right.
So-
But did we not have time to set policy? Is that not the business of this council, that if we wanted a policy when the mayor went, we had enough time from that date to now to have approved a policy to make sure this was something that we wouldn't have to deal with?
I don't think we were
I
asked to
don't
do a
think- I know.
policy. And on
Well,
top of that,
then that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm speaking to. So to my point, can the city benefit from such a conference, yes or no?
yes,
Okay.
same rules for everyone.
Right. And in continuing education, national leadership, a goal of our council? Can we benefit from this as far as grants and funding and other support ideas like we
Yes.
have in the past?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did we need policy to have you come back and report out?
No,
That's just
we
yes or no?
requested it,
Right.
and we're doing the same
And
here.
that's what I'm asking. And so if I said I will do what the past process has been, where you request it and it happens, but not that, oh, here, all of a sudden, we're changing the goalposts. And so that's all I'm saying. I will do what I believe I hear that you did in the same manner in which you did. But I do not think on principle for us to change and say, okay, we're setting this in stone, that this is the way things are done. I believe that if we want to change the goalposts, we do it after the conference. If it's approved, that's a big if it's approved, and then we set the two policies and we make sure staff brings those back. But it shouldn't be, okay, well, if you don't agree or this or that, I already said I would be willing to do exactly what you did. And that should have been enough
Okay.
for the two council members, that's all.
Councilman Pappen, if
Okay,
not, because what
I
I
pulled
heard
this
is what you said.
motion for the simple fact that this isn't a lot of money, and I do believe that anyone who travels out of state, that's how I started this evening, should be reporting out to the council. We did that with the mayor, and I believe we don't have a formal policy, but I believe because this is such an expenditure, that my motion requested we approve it with the condition that whomever attends comes back and reports out to the council. That was my motion. I believe there was a second, and so call for the question.
I didn't know there was an assumption that there wasn't be a report.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I've been up since 6 o'clock. Did we get a second?
Yes, I think.
We did get a second. Okay. So what I heard is basically the motion is exactly what they did for me
Right.
back then. Subsequent to this discussion, because often we don't get to talk as a group except when we're at a council meeting, is the need to develop a policy for the future, which includes traveling to states that may be doing things that, for whatever reason, and that definitely needs to be clarified. When I worked for the University of California, we definitely were state-funded and we had those rules. So it's probably time that we update ours, especially with some of the hatred coming out of states around the country. But that is separate to
Call
what we are
for the
doing
question.
tonight.
Right.
So
I
please
still
don't
haven't had a
feel-
chance to make a comment.
Okay.
So, Mike,
Marge, please. I'm sorry, Marge. We haven't opened it up for public comment yet.
Yes, we did. We had two speakers.
Oh, and then we
you can-
closed
you-
public
I can-
comment.
Oh, okay, it's up to you. I don't know.
No, we closed public comment.
All right.
Please, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
All I'm stating is that to make that assumption is not the right mindset, that there would not be a report out if it's been done in the past, and then to call it out as if somehow that wouldn't happen, if that's the practice. And so I haven't shown that I wouldn't do it. And so to say as if, okay, this, the only way this is getting done is if you agree to it or if we vote that it's mandatory. I was elected just like you, and I think I should be afforded the same amount of grace that, hey, the expectation is that there will be a report out and allow it to happen. And so that's my only pushback on the verbiage, because it seems that it's rhetoric versus just saying, hey, there should be, we should get a policy.
Call for the
and
question,
that's it.
please.
So, that's fine.
Again, I was very clear on my
Thank you,
motion and
Councilwoman.
the
Okay.
second.
It's a
Call for
deep
the
breath.
question.
Mayor, with all the discussion, I think repeating the motion would be,
Gladly. Again,
City Clerk, could you repeat, did you get the motion? Okay,
I can
Councilman, repeat
happily
the
do
motion,
this.
please.
Again, this was pulled because it is an expenditure of close to $3,000. I think it is appropriate that anyone traveling out of state report back to the council as to what the trip was, what was learned here, and what can be shared for the benefit of this city. That is my motion. I had a second, I believe, from Councilmember Fung. Will you accept that as stated?
Councilmember Cahalan.
Councilwoman Cahalan.
Will you accept that as stated?
Yes, and I second that in this format because I wanted the language just to be consistent with the language that we used with the mayor for her trip. And I think, you know, maybe for some, there's a feeling of want to report out for accountability. I think for me, because of the Brown Act, there's only so many things we can talk about. So the report out, I feel, is an opportunity for us to really learn what happened at the conference and to bring that information back to us as a council and to the community to enrich all of us. So that's why a report out is important to me.
Call for the question, please.
You want to call for the question or?
1 second. Let's just try to be a team here.
Yeah. Is there a process or a guidance of how you report it out that would be provided.
No, what I did not like
And
about
so
the
I don't
reporting out
understand
is
what
it comes under council comments
Right.
at the end, which is often sped, and people have turned us off at night, and I feel the people should hear what we've been doing. So I really would have loved it coming back as an agenda item
Right.
for that. But we didn't make me do that. So I
Right.
don't
And
want
so
to,
that- and
that's
again-
why I think the policy will be helpful.
And that's the point I was trying to make. You can report out in council comments and say, I did this and I did that, and that would be the end of it. But I think we would benefit more as a city if we got some type of PowerPoint presentation or something. And I think we're all capable of creating some type of presentation that we bring back. We can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different outcome as a city.
I hear you.
We talk about the lack of funding, the lack of people listening to us, whether it's national, local, or state. And I think we as a city can benefit not just from these conferences, but the staff can as well. And so by doing this, I think we need to make sure that it's not just report out just to be performative. If we're going to say report out, it should have some teeth, and it should say, hey, we should have a presentation by the individuals that went. This time it would be me by myself, but hopefully in the future it would be two council members and possibly a staff member. But we have to make sure we get away from thinking if we continue to be penny wise and pound foolish, that something's going to change in our city. And that's all.
Okay. This tonight is a motion to approve. The question has been called. City Clerk, could you please call the vote?
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Councilmember Fung.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
Aye.
All right. The City Council approved by motion to authorize the Vice Mayor to attend the National League of California City Summit at Atlanta and report back to the City Council by the vote of 5-0.
I would encourage us to get the hotel reservation. There's a good chance that the hotel's already full. For DC, I got lucky enough to stay in a little hotel, actually the birthright of the first enlisted soldiers hospital, which I like, the history part of it, and it was only one building away. But get your reservations in right away on that. And I think there's huge value in attending this. And when staff brings us back a policy, knowing that we have a small staff that has been hugely impacted, that we're behind on so many things that were in our council goals, it may take a while, but we won't be doing any out-of-state travel for months yet.
Yeah, maybe, here's the problem, though. I would rather, as staff, because you guys get up here and you have these conversations, like, have a motion and a second to direct staff and the city attorney to draft a policy.
Okay.
Because I don't know if 3 out of 5 of you agree on a policy.
Okay.
Right.
Is there someone who would like to make that motion? Oh, I'm sorry.
on the agenda.
City Attorney?
It's just direction.
It seems it would be a policy that would fit beautifully in your protocols.
Right.
Add in a provision. It might be nice to have, I don't know, a subcommittee, at least give some guidance as to what, unless you think the staff should just come up with something, right?
I think we could come up with something that,
Okay.
That would
Other
capture
cities have
everything.
them, it's not unusual. We can
Yeah.
call some other cities and just get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you. Okay,
So there's
moving on
concurrence.
to, we still have 4 other items. We were making good time. This is agenda item number 11, adoption of a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute, the First Amendment to the agreement with Environmental/Justice Solutions in the total amount not to exceed $201,025 for the development of a social equity plan. It's an action item. City manager, do we have any update, staff report?
well, just real quick, and we do have members of the EJ Solutions ready to answer any questions, and then also just provide an update on where they are and the next steps in the next 30 and 60 days. So just real quick, this item was just a budget augmentation for $16,750. There was some workshops that were inadvertently left out of the budget that they had submitted to us, so we received a request from them to either amend the budget or cut back on some scope. And so with this, we're recommending that we do a augmentation of the budget for the amount of $16,750 to facilitate workshops.
Thank you,
And
city
like I said,
manager.
we do have EJ Solutions.
Okay,
staff.
I see a council member, Councilman Pappen, and then anyone else? Comments, questions?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I asked that this be pulled because when we had originally proposed this, there were complaints that the budget was too high, and now we are well above the original budget request, and also we're being delayed further here. So, again, there were comments made when the committee first started that 200,000 was way too much. Now we're over that amount. So, further explanation about what we're getting here, and also the whole item has been delayed further. So what is the timeline as we move forward here? That would be very helpful. Thank you.
So I'll take that as a question. So there was a whole scope of work that was approved by the City Council for EJ Solutions. It is a year and a half worth of work. I will hand it over to EJ Solutions so they can brief the City Council on what they're doing. They are kicking off a community engagement booth at the upcoming New Moon Festival. They are also preparing the framework, our environmental justice strategic plan framework that we'll be presenting to the City Council actually at the next meeting, September 26th. And so we had started when contracting with them that we knew based on EJ Solutions workload that they would start this project in earnest in August. They have done that. We've had several meetings with them just internally, and they are moving forward. And so again, that September 26th date is one of the first major action items and review of the City Council to launch the first task and first phase of the program.
Thank you, City Manager. I don't know who's on EJ Solutions. I can't see.
Can I make one comment? I believe when we were assessing the first proposal, the amount was just to have an organization come in and do outreach and assessment in the community and put together a committee. But I believe we're getting a lot more with this contract and this project, where it's not just creating the committee, but working with that committee over several months or years to carry out the first steps to come up with our initial strategic plan and goals for a social equity commission and work in the city. So I think while the prices are close to the same now as before, we're looking, it's not apples to apples of what were in those proposals, and that we're getting a lot more and doing a lot more with this project with EJ Solutions than the original proposed project.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Do we have the consultant? Please join us.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
You're coming in great.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, City Council members, Mayor Schneider. I'm happy to be here with you today and give you an update, a little bit of update about what we are doing for the city of MILLBRAE, and also just to introduce ourselves. So I'll go ahead and start.
Hey, Maribel, can I interrupt you real quick? So I will just say, because she's not saying it, Maribel's been very sick with the flu or something, and so she is jumping on. She is ill, that's why in her voice, and today she didn't even know she's going to make it tonight. So I'm going to preface that and say we hope a quick recovery, but she is not feeling well. So
we are very glad that you could join us, and don't feel that you need to tire yourself out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for that preface. Yes, I will do my best and hand it off to my colleague, Colin, to do most of the talking. My name is Maribel Nzegu Tobias, and I'm the founder and principal of Environmental Justice Solutions. And prior to starting this consulting firm, I was an environmental and civil rights community attorney. I received my law degree from what was then called the University of California, Hastings, and is now called the University of California College of the Law, San Francisco. So EJ Solutions is based in the Bay Area, and we focus on the development of environmentally just, sustainable, equitable, and inclusive policies and programs through meaningful community engagement. We're happy to bring our expertise to bear here for the city of MILLBRAE in authentically engaging not just underserved communities, but bringing folks together across diverse positions to generate consensus-oriented, consensus-based strategies and plans. And so we will be deploying popular education. We will be providing translation of all of our materials in this process, we'll be focusing on Spanish, Cantonese, and Mandarin. And we, as part of this process and all of our processes, we gather data, we analyze the data, and we bring that analysis to bear as we develop the plans with the community. So I'll pass it to Colin to introduce himself.
Thank you, Maribel. Good evening, Mayor Schneider, Vice Mayor Goodman, council members, staff, and community members. My name is Colin Cook-Miller. I'm Senior Associate at EJ Solutions. I currently live in Wiyot and Yurok homelands in Humboldt County in far northern California, but I previously lived in Lejeune Ohlone territory in Oakland for 13 years. And my professional work has been as a community organizer and advocate for racial, environmental, and climate justice, doing language justice interpretation and translation in Spanish and Portuguese, and community-driven planning for equitable and climate-resilient communities. And I'm just very honored and excited to be commencing on this process, working with you all, with members of the MILLBRAE community to support development of a comprehensive and holistic plan for social equity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the question at hand here is spending $16,000 more for a contract that we approved for, as Councilwoman Cahalan said, quite a bit of information. As someone who has been waiting for this for a long time, because I feel that MILLBRAE is passed over quite often, even though I believe we should be an EJ community on that. I'm looking forward to this happening as soon as possible. I would only tell our consultants that another significant EIR done by the airport has passed with, again, them going to have huge environmental impacts on us, with them saying, basically, it's not, we can't do anything about it in MILLBRAE, you suffer, but oh well, on that. So I can't wait for you guys to get going, get started. I hear that you're going to be at the Harvest Moon Festival, yay, on that. Council, it's $16,000. It's a committee that we need to have. Can we move forward? I need a motion and a second. This is an action item.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Fung. Thank you, Councilwoman Cahalan. And I will say, Ms. Tobias and Mr. Miller, I went, actually quite dived into your website when you first were proposed for us. And I'm familiar, I work in the environmental field for the last 40 odd years. I serve on a state commission. I was familiar with a number of your projects, and I am really looking forward to seeing how you're going to help us. So we have a motion and a second. I need to open it for public comment, don't I? Public comment. I thought I saw someone bring you a slip.
That was for item number 6, okay. But however, I do have a hand raised online. It is also Grace. If you could state your full name for the record, and also if you unmute yourself, please.
This is Grace Schwartz. And I don't know if you guys recall, but when EJ Solutions made their presentation, they adamantly confirmed that the 3 meetings and interviews with residents was part of the contract and was included in the amount of the contract. For them to come back here and ask for an additional $16,000 to include is irresponsible, and it's just, in business, you eat your mistake. They should be eating their mistake. I'm very concerned with this contract continually going up and the oversight that the equity committee has with this group. It just seems like it's blanket approval, especially when you have the council member that leads a subcommittee has made racist remarks to me and other offensive remarks and is not the best representative and honestly should not be voting on this issue. I would like to have this issue tabled and really take a pause on this entire contract and to actually evaluate what it includes and what it doesn't include. Are they going to come back and ask for more? It's unconscionable, and I just want to let you know that by cutting me off and not letting me speak at the last item was illegal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zarab. Any further public comments? No slips?
No, there's.
No one on Zoom. Closing public comments. Bringing it back to council. Councilwoman Pappen, my apologies.
Thank you. So, understanding what the speaker said here, have we carefully looked? Do we expect any further amendments? I do believe that's a fair request. And what are we looking at here?
Yeah, we do not expect any more amendments. We've already kicked off the project, working very well with the consultant and the consultant's team. And we'll kick this off in earnest here at the end of the month, as I mentioned, September 26th, and move into high gear.
Thank you, City Manager. Please, Mr. Bias.
Okay, thank you. I do have a couple of slides to lay out our next steps of the process if the council members would like to receive that.
Yes, please.
Okay, please.
Okay, I will share my screen again. Okay. So as we have been kicking off the planning process, we have begun preparation for a community engagement phase that will begin this week. We will be sharing all of our materials with the City Council subcommittee in advance and eventually with the City Council. But we have developed an outreach plan. We're reaching out to over 40 organizations based in MILLBRAE, what we call anchor organizations that will be helping us by spreading the message to their audiences. And we're also providing them with outreach blurbs and flyers that we have translated into Spanish and Chinese. As City Manager mentioned, we will be at the Mid-Autumn New Moon Festival to do tabling with the city. We will have games and prizes to spread awareness about the planning process, recruit committee members, and start conversations to gather input about social equity in MILLBRAE. And finally, we are also working on developing the planned logo and iconography and flyers that we will be sharing with you very shortly. I'll pass it to Colin to say a little bit more.
Thank you, Mr. Bias.
Thank you. So we consider our social equity planning process for the city of MILLBRAE to consist of these four essential groups. We have the City Staff Equity Committee, the City Council Social Equity Subcommittee, the working title of a Community Committee for an Equitable MILLBRAE, or for an equitable and inclusive MILLBRAE. And then we have our community partners and anchor organizations that will certainly be contributing to the plan as well as workers, residents, and students of MILLBRAE. And so we look forward to sharing our outreach plan, our draft social equity framework, and our community engagement materials with the City Council Equity Subcommittee on Friday, September 15th, before we consider those to be finalized with your input. And we look forward also to coming back to City Council on September 26th to bring forward a social equity framework to really bring people onto the same page about what social equity means, what it would mean to achieve social equity in MILLBRAE. And so we look forward to sharing that draft framework on social equity with you all and hearing council members' thoughts about it as well as community members.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Okay, Councilwoman Pappen.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation here. The community, could you go back to the slide, please?
The second slide?
The last one, I believe it was.
The one,
I'm
this one?
sorry, no, the one with
next
the
one.
circles on it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. So, yeah, I have a question here regarding the Community Committee for Equitable MILLBRAE and the Community Partners Anchor Organizations. So when we had first discussed this, we really were trying to reach as many people as we could and really get to communities or individuals within our city who maybe don't normally engage. And do you have a way of kind of going about that, or is this just, I don't know, could you explain those two circles to me more so, please?
Sure. So this next slide explains a little bit about the community engagement and recruitment. So the community committee was passed by MILLBRAE City Council. And so we're going about that by really doing deep engagement in MILLBRAE. And going through anchor organizations is one way to reach people who are actively involved in MILLBRAE and who can help us spread the word to other folks. We'll also be on the ground in MILLBRAE in person, flyering at these events. And then we will be recruiting for members of this committee. We're going to have an online application process. If folks cannot do an online application, we can accommodate that. And we're aiming to bring a full slate of participants to council on October 24th. And for ratification. We will be making sure we leave no stone unturned. We have partners at all of the school. We are seeking to develop partnerships with the schools, the library, everyone that is deeply involved in MILLBRAE. So, that we're not just parachuting in, but we're really touching base with the folks that know what's happening on the ground in MILLBRAE. So that's our intent. And then once we have those members ratified, we will be providing them with a stipend of $50 per meeting, and we will look to be meeting with them about twice monthly. In November, at the first committee meeting, we will, meet in person. We will look at the formation documents, purpose, bylaws, and then at our 2 virtual meetings in December, we will be working on grounding, visioning, goal setting, and then beginning the process of a community needs assessment for MILLBRAE. That will be backed by data and qualitative data as well. And so that is really what we are hoping to do for the community committee, is to reach deep into MILLBRAE. We're looking for young people, old people, workers, business owners, everyone. We want to try to get as diverse as possible. And we want to have at least 2 members of the committee, at least 2 folks from each council district in MILLBRAE so that we know we're well represented. And then we'll also have some at-large votes, perhaps businesses that may be in more than one district. So yes, that is the formal process of developing that committee for the city. And we have the informal process of conducting outreach by creating partnerships with organizations in MILLBRAE.
Thank you. I'm really glad to hear you're going to throw a wide blanket, shall we say, in reaching out to the community here, because that was our goal, to really touch the community in many ways as we could to get to the people that live and work here. So it sounds like a great plan that you have here. I greatly appreciate that. And the schools and everything that you mentioned tonight, I greatly appreciate that. That sounds good. We really wanted to make sure this is about community and not politics. So thank you very, very much. Sounds like you're off to a good start. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I have one question, Ms. Tobias. It's hard to tell looking at the circles. Are you going to be meeting with individual council members? And one of the things that is really lacking here in northern San Mateo County is a very active environmental community. We are very different than Berkeley. We are very different than Palo Alto, Mountain View area. And I feel we suffer for that. So there aren't a lot of people here who know a lot about the environment. So how are you touching upon environmental issues?
That's a good question. At this moment in time, we are still looking to gather data about the environmental issues in MILLBRAE. We've been looking at the CalEnviroscreen and the Healthy Places Index as some of the early places to collect data. We know that based on our preliminary study, we know that District 1 is perhaps the most burdened district in MILLBRAE. But yes, this is going to be an ongoing process of collecting data and speaking to everyone. I'm not sure what the Brown Act, if that is relevant to speaking to directly to council members on this issue. But we will welcome all input, and we really are just hoping to build a real consensus-based plan for the city of MILLBRAE.
So I don't want to take more time on this, but I will tell you that CalEnviroscreen is missing a number of environmental metrics, noise being one of those, and of noise, low-frequency noise especially. And when I was at the National League of Cities, I met with President Biden's appointee on the environmental screening that they're doing and talked about where MILLBRAE is, and was asked to tell them our story because what they've put in the metrics doesn't pan out necessarily in the real world. So things like noise are missing. So I would like to be, I firmly support this, I firmly support the process, but I don't want it coming before me as somebody with 40 plus years and 2 environmental science degrees, and I have to vote on something that doesn't cover the environment. So I'm concerned about that. I'll leave it at that. And hope that there is a way that council, we all come with unique backgrounds, but I will tell you, as someone who grew up here, we don't have the environmental voice that we should.
I definitely hear you. I understand about noise. Believe me, CalEnviroscreen will just be one of the data sources that we will be collecting on MILLBRAE, and we are deeply concerned about noise issues as well. And so I want to assure you that we will seek to leave nothing out and to address all of the issues that MILLBRAE residents would like to address.
Thank you. With that, any further comments? Can we have a call the question?
I believe there's a motion on the floor.
There is a motion and a second. I've forgotten who it was.
I made a motion.
Thank you, Councilman Fung. And where was the second? Councilman Cahalan. Can we call the vote?
Certainly. Councilmember Pappen? Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Councilmember Fung?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman,
Aye.
Mayor Snyder.
Aye.
Consent item number 11 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you, Ms. Tobias and Mr. Miller. I'm of Scottish background. Our cure for everything is a nice cup of warm tea. I wish you a good evening and a good night's sleep. Get better.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, public hearing. Tonight, we have no public hearings. Moving on to existing business. Item number 12, adoption of a resolution awarding a professional services agreement to Traffic Patterns of Danville, California for the MILLBRAE Smart Traffic Signal Project. This is an action item. City Manager, do we have a report?
I'd just like to refer to our Director of Engineering and Public Works, Mr. Sam Batista.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. The item before you is a resolution awarding a professional services agreement to Traffic Patterns for the MILLBRAE Smart City Traffic Signal Project. Next slide, please. So just to give you some background, in 2021, the city received a transportation fund and a transportation fund for clean air program grant in the amount of $174,240 to fund the MILLBRAE Smart City Traffic Signal Project. This project will install virtual bicycle and pedestrian detection system equipment at existing traffic signals and hawk signals that will allow bicyclists and pedestrians to actuate the traffic signals using mobile apps. Bicyclists will transmit their GPS position to help receive a green phase or extend a green phase as they ride towards an intersection. Pedestrians both transmit GPS data and will use a mobile app with Google Satellite Image Interface to select the crosswalk that they are seeking to cross. Next slide. So most of this project is going to be implemented along El Camino Real, helping to advance regional efforts to implement bicycle and pedestrian initiatives on the corridor. The city of MILLBRAE owns and operates 5 traffic signals and 1 hawk signal, while Caltrans owns and operates 10 traffic signals and 5 hawk signals along El Camino Real and MILLBRAE Avenue. And the city has coordinated this project with Caltrans. Next slide, please. So this project provides Internet of Things, so IoT, equipment that will allow residents and visitors to interact with traffic signals virtually through the cloud. IoT describes the network of physical objects that are embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data with other devices and systems over the internet. So in this case, these IoT devices happens to be a person's mobile device connecting to our traffic signals. This is new technology that will serve as a demonstration project for the San Mateo County and the region. Next slide, please. So this is just a diagram showing a bicyclist entering or riding towards an intersection that has this IoT, Internet of Things. So the outer detection ring is where, as a bicyclist rides at that point, the cell phone will start talking with the equipment and, well, we'll be talking to the cloud, which will be talking to the equipment. And as he's riding forward, it'll be validating that the rider is coming to that intersection, and then it'll be activating and actuating the green phase, or will lengthen the phase. So this will allow the bicyclist to safely enter and exit the intersection. So next slide, please. So at this time, I would like to bring up Jaime Rodriguez from Traffic Patterns to discuss the project and the company that we are going to be consulting with.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jaime Rodriguez. I'm the co-founder of Smart City Signals. My co-founder partner, Tyne Nguyen, couldn't be here tonight, but we are both very excited to be here and to be working on this project with you. I'm also the principal founder of Traffic Patterns, which is actually the engineering firm that you're contracting with to deliver this project. Is there a mouse? Oh, next slide. So what we're going to build for MILLBRAE is basically a cloud-based traffic signal management system. Now, most of El Camino Real is already connected regionally to Caltrans Smart Corridor system. So while Caltrans has the ability to get a view and monitor what's happening along El Camino Real, the city of MILLBRAE does not. And there are other intersections within MILLBRAE that are connected to that network, but you don't have a physical connection to that network here at City Hall, so you also don't have the ability to view what's happening at most of your city intersections. And so what we're going to do is build a layer of cellular connected devices over the fiber optic network that gives Caltrans another mechanism to view what's happening at their intersections, give you an opportunity to view what's happening at your intersections, give your regional partners at CCAG and SamTrans the ability to see what's happening, but more importantly, introduce the opportunity for the community to interact with traffic signals in a different way. Next slide. I'm going to come back to this, but this basically just shows some of the services that we offer at our engineering firm. We have been an on-call engineering consultant for MILLBRAE for a few years now. Most of our work has been focused on reviewing traffic impact studies for some of your regional development projects. So I'm going to skip for this for now and go on to the next slide. Okay, so at Smart City Signals, we have a suite of products that you're actually getting through your grant. The primary element are these traffic signal panels, or IoT traffic signals panels, that will be put into every traffic signal and every Hawk signal. And for you on the council and for people at home that don't know what a Hawk signal is, those are the traffic signals that pretty much sit dark all day, all night along El Camino or at the MILLBRAE BART station until a pedestrian pushes the button. Then when the pedestrian pushes the button, the signals kind of flash yellow to warn motorists to slow down, yellow to red, and they flash. And in that time, the pedestrians are released to cross. That's what a Hawk signal is. And we're going to network all those intersections, and we're going to give you that capability to do the virtual detection. You're going to get I think you're getting 5 cameras with this project, and those cameras will give you the ability to view remotely your intersections. And we're also going to build for you some technology to use those cameras to get additional video analytics. Next slide. This is just a quick picture of what the panel looks like. This will look very similar to your traffic signals here in MILLBRAE. You have a very similar style. This is an installation in the city of Saratoga, which was our first customer. And this same panel will work in your signals, your Hawks, and if Caltrans wants, along the ramp meters. Next slide. So this slide just provides a very quick overview on how the system works. Your traffic signals collect data from the field, a loop in the pavement, a video detection system to let the signal know there's a vehicle waiting for detection or a pedestrian pushes the button. This system will scan all of that equipment, all those detection inputs coming in, scan the red, yellow, green, the walk, don't walk, and all the different alarms, and push it up to the cloud so that you can share that data with anybody that wants to. So we're going to share the data with any connected vehicle, vehicle manufacturers that want to capture that data so they can kind of inform the motorist that's behind a wheel of what's kind of happening downstream. But more importantly, it gives us the ability to actually interact with the signal through your mobile device. So for bicyclists or for pedestrians, a pedestrian, for example, rolling in a wheelchair down the street, or a visually impaired person walking down the street, will be told, hey, you're walking in El Camino, you're approaching MILLBRAE Avenue, do you want to cross MILLBRAE or do you want to cross El Camino Real? Depending on the response, we'll push the button for them. We'll do the same thing for the pedestrians, and you're going to get the added benefit of having that same technology approach for your emergency vehicles, for your transit buses, and if you had rail on the ground, it would interact with that rail as well. Next slide. This is just a very quick overview of what the graphics for the individual intersections look like. You'll see here we give the city quick information about what's happening in real time at the intersection. We actually give them vehicle count information on the current hour versus also what's happening throughout the day. Next slide. And this is that graphic that Sam walked you through. This is a visual of what it looks like in the field. You see here, there's a pink polygon that a bicyclist or a bus or an emergency vehicle or a pedestrian needs to always be within to validate that they're in an approach towards the intersection, and they cross these 3 boundary circles in series. And as long as they cross them in series, we validate the detection and submit it to the traffic signal all over the cloud. And once the user, the bicyclist or the vehicle passes the center of the intersection, that detection request turns off. The same user cannot put a same request into the same intersection until they get all the way outside of all the detection zones, but they can start to interact with the next intersection at the same time. Next slide. This is just a quick graphic of some of the counting technology that we're going to be putting into your video equipment. Next slide. And we're also going to provide you the ability to be able to have your signal maintenance staff track the maintenance performance of the intersections with your technology. Next slide. And this is the part that's really exciting for us. So MILLBRAE does not have a formal safe routes to school program, or at least for what we could research, could not find any. So we reached out to the county of San Mateo, and they validated for us that there's no formal suggested route to school program that develops what are called walk and roll maps for students to know what streets you recommend as a community students use to walk or bike to school. And a lot of communities struggle developing these maps. More importantly, when they develop them, that's usually just a hard printed map that gets handed out at the first day of school. And most people don't know those maps exist. So we developed a parallel platform called schoolroutes.org that you're getting free access to. And our goal is to finish this for you by the end of September if you approve our contract tonight. And what this platform will do, and on the next slide, is take what would be a walk and roll map that you develop in hard paper, but put it on the cloud with a mobile app that already exists. So for families that are new to MILLBRAE that want to figure out, hey, what's the safest, the best way for my kid to get to school, they can actually download the app and say, hey, guide me to my elementary school. And it'll actually guide them, with audible instructions onto the route and along the route until they get to the school. But what's more important is that the app, if the users create an account, can actually interact with other members of the community to establish what we call school depot stations. So say, hey, let's meet at the park at 7:50 and let's walk the rest of the way, or let's bike the rest of the way to school. And anybody that's a registered user can drop a pin on the map on their computer or on their mobile app and establish one of these depot stations once it's approved by a city or county admin person. And then you can also use that to establish carpools so that you encourage people to kind of reduce those single occupant trips to school. So this kind of builds on top of some of those green initiatives that you were talking about at the beginning of your council meeting. This will also interact with the smart city signal system. So if you use this for carpools, we'll actually treat a carpool as a bus and help that individual vehicle, personal vehicle, move through the traffic signal more efficiently so they arrive more quickly to school. So you're going to have probably the most advanced traffic signal network in the country because no one else has done this yet. We've developed these systems individually in different cities, but you're going to get them integrated for the first time in your regions. There's a lot of cities in the Bay Area that are looking to see what happens with this project and its success, because there's a lot of cities that are looking to replicate what you do in MILLBRAE with this project. Next slide. This is sorry about the images here. This is just a quick image of what some of those mobile app images look like on schoolroutes.org. That's available for download now. We're gonna build a different version of that map for your smart city signal system. Next slide. That's it for me. So I'll be happy to answer any questions if you do have any.
Thank you. Council.
Next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please go ahead, Mr. Batista.
There's just a little bit more. So just to let you know that we did go out to bid and we did receive 2 proposals, and Traffic Patterns is the lowest apparent bidder. And, we called their references and they provided us great satisfactory feedback. Next slide. And so our staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution awarding a professional services agreement to Traffic Patterns in an amount not to exceed $204,900 for the project, and to authorize the city manager to execute the contract and all contract change orders up to the project contingency of 15% for any additional or unforeseen work. So that concludes the presentation. We are here to answer any of your questions.
Almost, Mayor. Real quick, but Sam, of that $204,900, what dollar amount was the grant?
174.
174. So this is the additional is the match that's required by the city for that grant, just to let you know.
That was the important part. It was in the staff report, but for the public who may be watching, the fact is we did receive a grant. Congratulations to the city and staff for getting that. So really, it's just $30,000 for a package. Council, comments, questions? Councilwoman Pappen.
Thank you to the vendor and Sam, appreciate it here. What sort of participation are you anticipating? This appears to be voluntary as far as downloading the app, is that correct?
So what we would like to do is when we start rolling this out, we will go to the schools and let them know that this is happening. So that's one thing. We'll also put it on our website and make sure that our public information officer knows that this is going on, and so we can do a blast, because we really want people to be engaged, and we want our residents to be able to get to point A to point B safely, and and make sure that bicyclists have the safety along El Camino and be able to actuate all these traffic signals and get to their destination efficiently. So we will definitely do a blast to our citizens and residents and businesses.
So what percentage, or what number do you think would be a successful project going into this? As you said, a lot of people are looking at this. So, if you get 5 people, that's not really going to be very good.
Thank you, Councilmember. So our project doesn't have a marketing element for it, but we've developed already a series of online banner ads, like a mailing postcards that you can send out to do a citywide postcard blast. We'll definitely share all that information with the city and help you develop a marketing plan to deploy the project, or once all the equipment is installed. But you are correct. This is a great system, but if your community doesn't know that it's there, it's not going to add a lot of value. We don't want to see that. That's why we've taken the initiative at our company to develop a lot of these ads to help our customers get the message out. But at the end of the day, what will become a priority is to help encourage residents to download the app. There's a lot of other benefits outside of the staff community itself. Your emergency service staff, we want to work with them to see, hey, are you interested in taking advantage of this technology? You just got to get the right equipment on your fire rigs or your police cars. Same thing with your SamTrans partners through CCAG. If you want to get transit priority through the intersection, do this as well. I did forget to mention one thing. We are bringing in a few partners. Valuance Capital, who's one of the VCs that we're working with at our company, another company called Curb Lab, and the University of Toronto are actually helping us develop your project. So you're getting a few other modules that I didn't really talk about in the report here, but you're getting a few modules that are being built for the first time. The first one, which I think is probably going to be the priority for us, is we're going to develop an adaptive signal timing module for El Camino Real. So that's a huge, huge bonus for you. That's going to be developed for us by Curb Lab, Valuance, and the University of Toronto. So we're going to push to Caltrans to say, hey, we're evaluating your traffic signal timing. You should consider making this change every cycle or every 5 or 10 minutes to help the corridor be more efficient. And then Caltrans will have that decision capability to make those timing operations, but the system will work on its own in the background and recommend and implement those timing changes should they ask. We talked about the way that the virtual detection worked with the polygon, that an object needs to be in at all times and cross in series. Valuance, Curb Lab, and Toronto are also going to develop a predictive module. So if that transit vehicle or that fire truck or that police car is sharing its position data, in addition to crossing those detection zones in series, the system will actually predict for the intersection how far away that vehicle is to make the signal operation a little bit more efficient. The third element is some of those AI, or artificial intelligence, modules. I'm so sorry. The modules using the cameras to say count the bicycles to the pedestrians. That's all being done for us as a bonus through Valuance, Curb Labs, and the University of Toronto. So you definitely want to thank them for participating in this project.
Great. 2 more quick questions, please. As you progress down this avenue here, we are really working on, or we're going to have a plan for improving El Camino Real. So be careful. We don't want big, ugly cameras put up somewhere. Please be sensitive to the visual presentation here. We are dealing with some very unpleasant overhead things from Caltrain's electrification here. So please, again, be considerate as you progress here. And secondarily, I think of great interest to us is the ability of people to walk across or traverse El Camino Real. The length of time it takes, the individual, it's very difficult for older people or physically impaired people. So that type of information is going to be very interesting to us. And we, having gone to a Council of Cities thing, there was actually a crossing where the light keeps going until you cross to the other side. It was almost like a sensor that said you keep walking and it's going to be red for the drivers, but not the pedestrians here. So as a matter of public safety, that's going to be very interesting to see what kind of data comes up here, because this is a very wide, we are the widest part of El Camino Real. So please look forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any other comments?
I have a couple questions. Yeah, this is new and interesting technology. I'm very curious. I have so many questions. I'm just going to ask a couple. You mentioned Saratoga has this already, or, you know, how early are we in the game, and what have been some of the benefits and challenges you've found so far?
Sure. We have several customers on already. So Saratoga was our first. We're deployed in Los Altos Hills. Redwood City has a system. Foster City just installed 4 intersection systems over the last like five or 6 months, and so has Pleasant Hill. So you're still really early in. You're still in that first batch of 10, but we've developed a lot of these individual systems individually at the different cities. You're getting them all at once, and so you're a really, really nice use case for us, because it really goes to showcase how all these different technologies integrate together. Each on its own is a great system, but the value really comes to the community and to the city and to all of your departments by having them integrated together. And that's what's really attractive to a lot of the agencies that we're talking to that are looking for some type of a system where, like at a regional level, every city has different equipment. We don't care what controller runs in the intersections. We're independent of that. We can communicate to the cabinets themselves. For some of your intersections, we will replace older controllers, specifically the intersection of Magnolia and MILLBRAE. Well, so we're actually really going to modernize that intersection. And while we're doing these installations, we're going to say, hey, do you have enough pedestrian time at all these intersections? We're going to upgrade all that for you and give Caltrans recommendations if we think that's appropriate.
Thank you. There's a lot of data involved in this, and the cameras and things like that. Who owns the data? Who has access to the data? What are privacy things to be aware of?
Yeah, thank you. That's actually a really important question that I'm glad you brought up. So first and foremost, on the traffic cameras, they're about the size of this remote control. So the cameras themselves are extremely tiny. You don't really notice them when they're up there. And the cameras themselves don't have a strong zoom. We purposely do that because we don't want to intrude on people's privacy. So nobody can ever zoom into these cameras and look at a face in detail. You can't zoom in and look at license plates. The cameras aren't intended to do that. They're strictly provided to provide a traffic operations manager the ability to see what's happening at the intersection, and that is it. The data that comes in that resides on our cloud platform is accessed and owned strictly by the city. We don't sell the data. People make contacts and say, can we have access to that data? But that decision solely relies with the city staff. So although we've been in contact, we typically would say, no, you need to ask the city. And if the city says, we're happy to share that data with you.
Thank you. There was a component you mentioned with the safe schools and having a staff administrator to be able to do that. How much staff administration is there on this, and what impact does that have on our employees to maintain it?
Oh, boy. So first of all, it's a lot of training. So, I'm assuming there's going to be training involved. So, we do have assistant engineers now that are here at the city, and we would probably train them and make sure that the assistants and seniors would be able to run the system. So in terms of, I think inquiries are probably going to be easy with the training. I would assume that this is a pretty maintenance maintenance-free type of system. So, we would be calling traffic patterns for any kind of technical service. So I would say that creating the maps, that seems to be pretty easy. We could share those with the school districts and email them and they can print it out. But in terms of overall management of this portion of the system, I think it's doable with our staff that we have.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that, so one of the benefits of the system, and one of the things that are benefits of working with us specifically, is we actually offer free traffic engineering with the system. So a lot of our customers don't have a traffic engineer at their city. Saratoga, Los Altos, none of them do. MILLBRAE does not. And so when they get an inquiry that says, hey, I'm stuck at this traffic signal, it's not turning green, what's going on here? We just tell people, hey, forward that call to us. That's the benefit of having the camera. That's why it's there. We can just jump online. We can do it from our office. I can do it from my house, because a lot of calls come in for inquiries at all hours of the day, and we can actually watch it and see what's happening. And if we need to, we can log in and remotely make signal timing adjustments. Then we just report back. So we've offered to the city already, hey, as you're hiring new staff, have them work with us. We'll train them on how to use the system. But really, the system is pretty intuitive, and that's one of the things that a lot of our customers have really liked about it. Some of the legacy systems that have been on the market, including like what's on the smart corridor, are extremely intimidating for even a highly trained engineer to use. And we took the opposite approach. We kept it as simple as possible, have everything be automated, and that's where the Curb Lab and University of Toronto partnership is really strong for us, because the benefit is install it, but let it run in the background and let it improve your community without you having to manage it. And that's what we're striving for with this system and project.
Thank you. My last thing is just a comment. Thank you for bringing up the intersection of Magnolia and MILLBRAE Avenue. Maybe this is an alternate solution and a positive impact compared to the road that we've been going down. Sometimes we find another way to achieve a goal. So look forward to seeing the patterns and the impact there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cahalan. Councilman Fung.
Thanks for bringing this forward. I think it would be extremely helpful if we look at this capability from the lenses and how to improve our pedestrian safety moving forward. Obviously, between some of the crosswalk in front of Tai Wu, next to the Pancake House, for example, those are some of the areas where it's well known that some pedestrian has
died there,
had some relatively tragic accidents in the past. So from, the improvement that this technology brings forward gives us an opportunity to improve the safety of all the pedestrians around El Camino Real, where the traffic lights can be installed in the future, for example. So that's an important lens as we move forward and look at how this particular technology can improve all the pedestrian safety experience throughout the entire city. Obviously, the privacy issue that was brought up a moment ago, that's extremely important. And I want to assure everyone in the city that these data is not for sale. We're not releasing any of this information. And they would only be used for the purpose of analyzing traffic safety as well as how to improve the pedestrian experience throughout. So I want to just assure the public of that.
Thank you, Councilman Vice Mayor.
Yeah, and to that point, is the system intuitive enough to be able to digest the data and then provide information to the city on systems that are not dependent on traffic lights? For example, if there's if there's a backup of vehicles and there's no U-turn or left turn on the streets leading up to that, is there an opportunity to be able to see, like, oh, maybe the city should consider a U-turn or an option for a U-turn at a location?
We definitely will have that capability if we were to put cameras at some of the non-traffic signals to collect that data.
Okay.
But right off the bat, with this project, we're not doing that. We're only going to be placing cameras at 5 locations that have traffic signals. One, because the camera needs power and it needs that cellular connection. That's what the device does. But in addition to the data you're collecting through the traffic signals, through the schoolroutes.org app, city staff can never view where kids are walking in real time. We don't even get the ability to do that. But what the platform does is it records the data where kids walked in the day and makes it available as breadcrumb maps for the city staff to view the next day, never live. And we delete the first 5 minutes of walking to avoid privacy issues. So that granular data, in combination with some of the other data, will actually really guide you and give you the resources that you need to pursue future grants to be more successful, to kind of really like improve the safety and bikeability of your community.
Yeah, because leading up to, there's a MILLBRAE Avenue, there's no opportunity for individuals for 2 blocks, or I think it's 2, maybe 3, that you have to go all the way to Burlingame to make a U-turn if you just wanted to stay in MILLBRAE and actually spend your money. One block in Burlingame. Yeah, you got to go
one block
There's
from
2.
MILLBRAE Avenue to Murchison to do a U-turn to come back to MILLBRAE.
Yeah, and so there's 2 blocks on the MILLBRAE side, 1 block, so you got to go literally 3 blocks if you want to turn back around and keep your money in MILLBRAE. So if there's an opportunity to kind of support or at least analyze whether it makes sense to allow that.
Okay. I think this is fantastic. I think you're an engineer. And I know Sam is an engineer, so you guys are loving this. This is my 8th year on council, and we're still waiting for our GIS system. And I'm a geographer, so not having maps, I love hearing about the maps, but I'm going to point out, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I'm kind of grumpy today, so forgive me, staff. Number one, our bike pedestrian committee is a subset of Park and Rec, and people on Park and Rec don't want to serve on our bike pedestrian committee, so we really don't have a good avenue to run this through. I'm again showing my grumpiness because I asked for a bike pedestrian formal committee or commission, and the council did not make that a city goal. So we don't have it. I am on the county BPAC. I have been on it for almost 8 years now. I just stepped down as chair. So I know the discussion of the system running along El Camino Real to speed up a commuter's plan. You know, basically the brave people who will ride down El Camino Real. And I used to be one of those. I would ride from MILLBRAE to San Mateo High School or Aragon or Hillsdale High School, and I could get to Aragon in 17 minutes. So I ran every light. And that's one of the things that our drivers hate, is that cyclists misbehave, and then the car drivers don't like the cyclists. The other thing that we have been very horrible at getting, to the tune of 1 grant for bike pedestrian work here in MILLBRAE for $254,000 compared to South San Francisco at $25 million. So the differences are there. One of the things that hurts us is because it's just the county's way on that, frankly, and because we don't get the points in our grants. And sometimes we don't get the points in our grants because we don't have the data. Other cities have a better way of collecting collision data, especially bike, pedestrian, bike, car, pedestrian, car, and then there's the pedestrian bike accidents. Can we collect that kind of data here?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So there's actually free resources that are already available to you that will give you bike, pedestrian collision data. It's actually available through UC Berkeley.
Only if
Traffic
it's
Incident.
reportable. We've had this come to CCAG
okay.
BPAC. Only if it's reportable. I'll give a kudos to the fact that we're in under the sheriffs, and now they're beginning to collect data when a car comes within 3 feet of a bicycle, which is against the state laws. So the county and our sheriff and MILLBRAE can participate in that. And that was just rolled out to us at our June, I think it was our June BPAC meeting. So I hear that you can coordinate all of this data. What I'm telling you is that we need the collision data. I hate to put it that way, but council members brought up, we've had people killed at Ludman and MILLBRAE Avenue, right? We've had people killed at Hillcrest. I had a little boy hit and hospitalized for days 3 houses from my house on Palm Avenue and Taylor Boulevard, which is a major route to schools. We have 2 members here. We have a council subcommittee to meet with the school district. There's a new superintendent. It has been very difficult to get the school's cooperation. That said, I had a conversation with a couple, only 2, only 1 actually, school board member about electronic bus systems so that we can get some of the cars off the road. And they are very interested in that. And I'm sharing that now because I can't meet, I'm not on that committee. But we don't have a centralized place where all of these ideas can come together on that. And that is my request to council, that you reconsider the decision of not creating a bike pedestrian committee and or bike pedestrian transportation. I know it's not on the agenda, and I'm going to finish. Let me finish my sentence.
Go ahead.
That all the information you're going to collect is great. It'll sit at City Hall, and it will not get out to the people who you expect to use the bike safe routes to school program on there. So I'll let it go with that, but I am mad as hell after 8 years of trying to bring a bike pedestrian program here in MILLBRAE, which we cannot get because we don't put the pieces in. We're going for the technology before we have the access to the public on there. So I'll leave it with that. I'm going to call the question on this. It's a good program. I'm happy to have it, but this should have gone to our bike pedestrian committee. This council talks about pedestrian safety. My street is a freeway twice a day for school buses, for school people. And I'd love to see this work, but I don't see the cooperation with the school district. So with that, I'm calling is there a motion?
Move approval.
I'm sorry, there's a public comment. You need, Mr. Lamont, you need to fill out the slip after, but I'll open it up for public comment. You have to say it on the microphone.
Good evening. So the $174,000 grant, was that a grant from the state or was it a county grant? I'm just curious.
Absolutely not a county grant.
Yeah, okay. So it came from the state.
Where's the source of funds?
I believe it went through CCAG.
But the source of funds. CCAG's a middleman and takes their cut out of funds from the state and the feds. I'm being blunt, this is reality.
It's a MTC grant, funding grant.
So it came from the state, basically, then?
Well, no,
State
it
funds,
could have
no?
come from multiple funding sources.
Okay, just curious. All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Lamont, if you could fill out a speaker's form. You need to fill out a speaker's form and come to the podium. We don't take questions from the audience.
There are no virtual speakers.
Thank you. Mr. Raquel, you can fill out the slip after and give it to the city clerk.
Hello, City Council. I'm kind of impressed by this, and I was wondering why they can't do that at MILLBRAE and Magnolia Avenue.
You did say it's going to be at MILLBRAE Avenue. And Magnolia.
Will be at MILLBRAE and Magnolia Avenue. Well, that's welcome relief, and hopefully it will be fruition, because I've been hit almost 25 times, this close of being run over in the middle of the intersection when the pedestrians had the right of way. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's had this happen to me.
Thank you, Mr. Raquel. Any further?
We had you in mind, Mr. Raquel, when we did this, by the way.
Okay. Closing public comment. Motion and a second, please.
Pappen, move approval.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilman Fung. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Councilmember Pappen.
Yes.
Councilmember Cahalan.
Aye.
Councilmember Fung.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman.
Aye.
Mayor Snyder.
Aye.
Existing business number 12 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Sorry, I'm grumpy. I think this is very exciting. Thank you. Little engineering-ish. I'm an ex-HPer. I remember those days. Next up, item number 13, MILLBRAE Homeless Engagement Local Program called HELP, H-E-L-P, second quarter update. And City Manager.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Barbara Flores. She's the program director for the homeless outreach team from Life Moves. So Barbara, can you hear us?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
You're coming in great.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry, I was delayed. Let me see if I can turn on this camera. Cool. So hello everyone, my name is Barbara Flores. I'm the program director for the homeless outreach team at Life Moves, and I will be presenting on behalf of the MILLBRAE Help Outreach team at Life Moves. This is part of our team. It's not the MILLBRAE portion, but it is most of our outreach workers. Okay, next slide. So just an overview of our program. We are an extension of the original MILLBRAE Outreach Pilot Program that was about 1.5 years ago. So this is pretty much like phase 2. We MILLBRAE area, and we serve singles, couples, families experiencing homelessness. Most of our work is done in the MILLBRAE BART station area and downtown MILLBRAE. Go ahead, next slide. We have 2 outreach caseworkers assigned to this program. They normally work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Later hours on Wednesdays and Fridays up until 2:30. The reasoning for that is so that they can connect with the folks exiting one of the last trains from the BART station. And if you ever need to contact anybody for services, you can reach the San Mateo County Non-Emergency Dispatch line and make a referral. Next slide. So this is some of the supportive services that we provide. We like to take a really holistic approach to engaging individuals experiencing homelessness. So we pretty much provide anything that they may need support with, whether that's getting something like a DMV voucher to get an identification, coordinated entry assessments, which help people get onto the housing pool in San Mateo County, as well as getting into shelter. We also help people connect with substance abuse treatment, healthcare services, any benefits, public assistance benefits, even transportation to their appointments, because sometimes that's what's standing in between someone getting into their healthcare or housing appointments. So we like to take a holistic approach. Anything that they are interested in getting, we normally try to connect them with. Next slide. If you can click it one more time. So yeah, maybe you can go like 2 more times. I don't know why this loads so slowly. So this is pretty much how we get individuals enrolled into our program. We connect with anyone that expresses that they're experiencing homelessness. Usually we engage them out in the community or a referral from a partner. We connect with them, whether that's via phone, in person, in the community. Usually it's more in the community than over the phone. And we complete a general intake that takes roughly 10 minutes, depending on the individual. Sometimes it can go as far as 30 minutes to an hour. And we get releases of information to be able to connect them to other community partners and healthcare services. We provide non-intensive case management for the most part, but if folks are interested in connecting more than once and really have like robust needs, we go ahead and start working on them as an intensive client, which means we connect with them pretty much weekly or up to 2 times per month. Next slide. So this is the performance measures for quarters 1 and quarter 2. So that's January, since we started in January through June. We've connected with 62 individuals, which we call outreach and engagement. So these are 62 unduplicated individuals that we've connected with from January through June. We've provided case management, which means ongoing services to 58 individuals present during our multidisciplinary meetings monthly. We've also provided 97 temporary housing placements. This could be something at a congregate shelter. This can also be at a First Chance Sobering Station or any detox centers like Palm Avenue. And we're really excited about this one. We have been able to house 2 individuals in the last 6 months, which during our first part of our pilot was very challenging, given that a lot of our outreach workers, like you saw, our hours for this program in particular are after hours when most supportive services are actually closed. So we're really excited about that one. Next slide. So these are our, this is a snapshot of our performance measures overall. The metrics are right here at the top. You'll find we have a goal of 150 over the 18-month contract to provide outreach and engagement services to 150 individuals. So far, we're about 41% of the way. So we provided 62 outreach and engagement or individual unduplicated connections. Our goal for the 18-month pilot or program is 36 case management services. So providing case management to 36 individuals. We've met that at 58, so we're well above that 100% that we usually shoot for. We're at 161. And the same goes for placements into temporary housing. Our goal is 45, and we've provided about 97 placements January through June, and about 216% of our goal. And lastly, we have a performance metric of placing 5 individuals into permanent housing. This is through their unit of their own, reconnecting with family, anything like that, which is like a permanent place outside of temporary shelter. So we've connected 2 individuals through January through June, and that's 40% of our goal. Okay, next slide. This is some of the survey data that we've collected. So surveys are conducted while we're out in the community. They're not conducted on clients that are enrolled that might not want to complete the survey. So anybody willing to complete the surveys, we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll provide incentives like snack bags, hygiene kits, socks, anything that we have on hand if we do. I mean, we'll provide it regardless, but it tends to be an incentive. So to the left, you'll see our cumulative survey data. We've done 61 surveys or completed 61 surveys to date. And we have about 5 or 6 questions. One of the first questions we ask is, how did you arrive at the BART station? Since that's where we meet the majority of the individuals we engage. This is also for folks we meet anywhere in MILLBRAE or downtown. So again, to the left or to the chart is the cumulative data, but over Q2, we surveyed specifically 33 individuals. That's April through June. And the largest number of responses we received is that 12 people arrived via bus. So this is through that Samtrans. We've also had 8 respondents say that they arrived via BART, 5 via Caltrains, 5 via police escort. We have a lot of partners, a lot of police partners in MILLBRAE that contact us when they want to connect someone to services versus, criminalization. So we have a really strong connection with the police department, and we have them sometimes transport folks to us wherever we are in MILLBRAE to be able to get them to either a shelter or a detox center, things like that. And 3 are other. Most of the time they don't respond to those. Next slide. Our next questions are, what is your city of residency? So what do they consider the city where they spend the majority of their time? And what city, and again, this is cumulative data, so this is January through June. And then what city do you plan to sleep with tonight, right? When we engage individuals, where do they plan to sleep before we really offer services? So you can see the response here over the last 6 months for where they plan to sleep tonight. Most folks have the intention of moving towards South San Francisco. And what is your city of residency? About 19 out of those 61 respondents over the last 6 months have said that they are from out of San Mateo County. But in particular, in this last quarter, since we surveyed 33, only 2 of those individuals, when we provided a survey, responded that they were planning to stay in MILLBRAE. So usually they are just moving through MILLBRAE. Okay, next slide. Where do you usually sleep? So we ask, where do you sleep at night, right? Where the majority of the time, most folks often respond that they sleep outside or unsheltered. Where do they plan to sleep tonight? So usually this is like, where do they plan to sleep tonight as we're engaging them? It changes from where they normally sleep. Sometimes folks have friends or family or other locations that they stay at. In Q2, 27 of the individuals who responded, they will be sleeping outside. About 37% of them, or 10 of those individuals, accepted cots at shelters. So when we originally connected with them after discussions, about 10 out of those 27 actually decided to go into a shelter or detox center, which is usually pretty awesome and a testament to that kind of fast, quick rapport building and skill set that these outreach workers have and are able to help these individuals get indoors. And in addition, I think there was 4 individuals who had not necessarily stated they were going to stay outside. Maybe they stated they were going to originally sleep at a motel or on the street, who actually ended up going into a cot at a shelter or a sober station instead. Next slide. And the last question we normally ask is, how long have you been experiencing homelessness? Over the last 6 months, 19 of correspondents have said they have been outdoors for over 3 years. In Q2 specifically, we've had 13 of the 33 surveyed experiencing between 1 to 3 years, which has actually across most of the outreach teams has been pretty like the normal answer for most folks. A lot of folks have experienced, there's been an uptick in homelessness since like the whole COVID pandemic started. So you'll hear that 1 to 3 years in particular. Out of the 33, 8 folks have expressed that they've been homeless for over 3 years in Q2 alone. And 4 out of the 5 individuals who were experiencing homelessness was between 9 and 12 months, so 9 to 12 months. So they are fairly new to experiencing homelessness. Next slide. So that is my survey data, but I'm also open to answering any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Questions? Councilman Cahalan.
Thank you, Ms. Flores, for your presentation. I always look forward to seeing these updates each quarter because you're doing such great work. To see that we are above and beyond at 6 months of an 18-month goal cycle for several of our areas is really exciting, and look forward to seeing that continued work. I think just looking at our work around permanent supportive housing, especially just permanent housing in general, the fact that the goal is 5 over 18 months and we're at 2 of 5 already, just speaks to how hard it is to get folks to permanent housing. And I think part of that is a lack of permanent housing, permanent affordable housing. So I hope as the county grows the permanent housing and its cities work to increase affordable housing, that we can make those goals higher and meet higher numbers. I had a couple questions. You spoke to the number of folks that you were able to get into shelter beds or detox beds. Do you have access outside of coordinated entry to get folks into those beds the same night? Or are those folks having to wait till the next day to go through the coordinated entry and get beds for the next night?
Yeah, so what we provide on the spot is cots that we worked with the county and other partners to be able to provide at Safe Harbor or Project We Hope. And specifically with First Chance, we've just built that rapport and that relationship with the police to be able to provide that. But usually the goal is to get folks into these cots overnight, and then first thing in the morning, our morning crew for the rest of the county will actually connect with these individuals to provide a coordinated entry system assessment for folks who do want long-term shelter. So more often than not, they will get assessed, and then they normally get placed in shelter because they're considered, they tend to score really high on those assessments and get prioritized placement.
I learned about the recent update for folks not to just have 30 days residency in the county, but 90 days residency to receive county services. How has that impacted the HOT team's work in helping document their residency and then accessing services for them?
Yeah, you'll hear this across both day crews, night crews, and outreach teams. It has been extremely challenging with that 90-day residency. Most folks tend to move around fairly often and don't have what's needed. Usually you have to provide an ID with a San Mateo County residency or any form of mail or benefits stating that you're here, that you're a resident. And more often than not, that takes days to get, or if not weeks. So what used to take us maybe an hour to be able to fill out residency affidavit to complete assessments for services now can range from 3 days to a week, sometimes even a month, because we have to wait on mail or IDs. So it's been extremely challenging, and we've actually seen a decrease in shelter placements across day shifts because of that, because it can be so challenging.
Thank you. The last question I had is, do you see that the folks who are short-term unhoused are more likely to be open to services? Is there any trend in that? I was just curious.
It depends. It really, honestly, a lot of it really depends on how they're engaged, their initial engagement. Because those first few minutes, I think just even across like folks when we're getting anything at a store, right? Those moments really impact how we perceive whatever else we're being offered. It depends, but yes, folks who are maybe newly experiencing homelessness do tend to gravitate toward getting shelter sooner than later because they don't have, a lot of those experiences that come with folks who are chronically homeless.
Thank you very much. Keep up the great work.
Councilwoman Pappen.
Ms. Flores, thank you very much for all your hard work and effort. Greatly appreciated. So your services, and this is HELP, not HOT, I think, different programs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just confused. My colleague said HOT. So most of the services are centered around the BART station. Do you get into the downtown area, because we hear a lot about Safeway and Walgreens? Could you enlighten me as to those aspects of the program, please?
Yeah, in our original pilot, we were specifically catering the MILLBRAE BART area, but when we renewed the contract, we were able to add that downtown and MILLBRAE as a whole. So we do spend a lot of time, like we do focus on the BART area because that's just where we engage the most folks. But we will do every couple hours we'll start in downtown and then we'll go back later on because folks maybe kind of hide out in the little like nooks and crannies of downtown. So we'll do multiple engagements downtown and just in general everywhere.
Thank you so much. That's just amazing and great. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Fung?
Thank you, Ms. Flores. I just want to focus on a couple of statistics here that was extremely important. 97 individuals in the last 6 months between January to June was placed into some sort of temporary housing. And then 2 personnel were placed into permanent housing. That's 99 individuals who, had we not helped, would still be living on our streets. And so that's, I just want to highlight how conscientious and how much effort MILLBRAE has put in and how successful we have been with this program, being able to help many folks, nearly 100 people in just 6 months' time, to place them into some sort of a housing. And that's extraordinary. Ms. Flores, do you have some data that you can share with us, perhaps the amount of population who are still experiencing some sort of homelessness here in MILLBRAE? Would you have those data?
I'm sorry, what were you asking for specifically? Like how many individuals are experiencing homelessness in MILLBRAE?
Yes.
Not that I can provide right away. It's been a bit of a challenge because of the way that we collect information at the county level.
Okay. Yeah, it would be nice to kind of get some sense of that. We want to have a closer touch to these individuals so that we could help them any way we can. So it would be nice if we can get that in the future. And then also, there's been some discussions in the past where we're trying to put together some sort of a hotline where the public can access and provide you with information should they see folks who are experiencing homelessness. Have we made any progress on that?
We're working on, actually right now we're piloting a dispatch role, which is mainly for community partners. And we're hoping that if we're able to really figure out how to work that line with community partners for anyone to be able to make referrals to, that in the future we might be able to have that work for community members, like residents who live within the cities. But as of right now, we don't have anything, but we're trying this out as a dispatch coordinator to receive referrals from community partners. So like from police and service providers to start, with the hope of in the future being able to provide this to all community residents too, as a way to make referrals.
Yeah, I think that would be an important offering to our community here. For those who want to help those members of the unhoused community as quickly as possible. So I think that we can put that as a priority if you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor. Ms. Flores, thank you. It is an incredible program. Today, the county discussed the La Quinta issue. And after my comments, one of the supervisors said they had no idea homeless were being pushed off the train in MILLBRAE. So my question might be more to staff, that we get these tremendous reports and lovely success, and we know about it, but the supervisors who just took local control from MILLBRAE had no idea. What can we do to help get the word out? I mean, I know that Life Moves and the city have tried. We've tried to reach out to the state to say that this is a viable model compared to some of the other places where they've spent millions and millions of dollars for significantly less success. What can we do on this? And I don't need an answer tonight. I am horribly discouraged that Several of the supervisors, I don't think have ever been to MILLBRAE. Or if they have, they've certainly never been to BART at night. And they certainly have never walked down Broadway at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is the downside of Life Moves, that they're not there at 6 o'clock in the morning on that. So I'm not on the homeless subcommittee. I'm not in a good place tonight. I thank Life Moves for this, but I think we need to do more work on representing what we collectively with Life Moves are doing. My question, I thought I heard that. People go to South San Francisco to go to Safe Harbor, the shelter out by the end of San Bruno Avenue? Is that why South City they want to get back to?
Originally, when folks say that they're going to South City, they don't really give us a reason why. But afterwards, when we're like, where will you sleep tonight? And you do see that South City part, that's usually because they are going to Safe Harbor to spend the night.
Okay. I just think we need to tell our story better, and we need to use this. We need to tell our story better, city manager. And I don't need an answer.
I do
now.
want to answer that question because I think we do tell our story. Tonight, we're telling the story.
Yeah.
Every quarter.
But they're not listening.
I think it's a different issue. And I think what you've heard tonight is the issue is county policy. Their 90-day residency policy, you just heard the data.
90 days.
It's a decrease in placement due to county policy. Our job is then to notify the county that their policy is flawed, not tell them what we're doing, because as you know, I say, well, we take care of ourselves and that's what we're doing and we're investing in it and we're doing the right thing.
Obviously don't care.
I think what we're learning in this project is the 90-day residency is not working, that the 9 to 5
open at the
when the employees are here, that doesn't work. To really, you want to solve and get to functional zero, you have to be open 24/7. And if Mr. Callaghan's listening, that is what he needs to do. This is a 24/7 issue. If somebody at 11 o'clock at night needs housing and we can't do it because services are closed or they're in town and they need housing, we say, well, sorry, you haven't been a resident for 90 days. And oh, by the way, we need ID, and they don't have any ID. They haven't had an ID for 12 months, 16 months, 2 years. I mean, that's the fatal flaw in all this. I heard today hours of trying to get there. The policies are failed. And I'm not talking about La Quinta, I'm talking about this, 24/7. We have our police operate 24/7. If we're going to move to shifting responsibilities, our social service workers, our social system has got to be 24/7. That's the message that we should send to the council. I mean, to the county.
I think that's great.
That's what we're hearing and learning.
What do we do? Do we send that back to the homeless subcommittee to work on a letter?
I think
Do
you
we
can
bring it
direct
back
a
to
letter. I
council
think
and
you
try
can
to get the 5 of us to sign it?
I don't know if the 5 of you need to sign it, but if you agree, we can draft a letter for all 5 of your signatures saying, hey, based on what we've learned and the investment that the city of MILLBRAE has done.
And the facts we have.
And the facts that we now have, we are recommending that you change your policy and you change your policy to do A, B, C, and D.
I think that's a lovely idea. Do we have council consensus? Do we need to wordsmith a letter? Please say no.
I think staff could do it. I do. I think we can work with Barbara. We can work with her team and our team and just craft that letter with a recommendation.
Okay.
Move forward. See
If I
how they respond.
Just want to make a recommendation that as we work with the county moving forward on this homelessness issue, facts are important. And to be loud and clear, to be front and center, right? I don't want to have any misconceptions out there, as we've seen from some of the previous communication. So I just want to make sure that we have all the fact sheets. We let the county know exactly what data we're providing and where they come from, and what effective model that we have developed here, and how it can be replicated. And the 24/7 is a great point as well, and they need to be at the table working with the city in order to be serious about achieving effective zero homelessness, functional zero homelessness.
So tonight's agenda item actually says action, and this is really an informational, but it says action. I would like to see that letter. Council, where are you? I'm seeing a yes, I'm seeing a yes, I'm seeing a yes, Vice Mayor. So it can go out under the 5 of our signature. Do we need a motion for that? Okay, if direction is fine, I'd love to see that. I want to see for all of our committees that we take a more proactive, telling, as you said, city manager, this is what we've learned.
Yeah, I think this is very much a positive, and I think this is great information that we can share to get better, to improve. And that's what I think this is all about, is every step. We provide that data, we provide the information, and we convey that with recommendations of what we learn of how to really improve and make this better.
And in case, Ms. Flores, thank you for that. I do like the data. I'm sure I've seen it before, but the people that other police departments bring into us. And it's my understanding from a MILLBRAE resident who is an officer in another city that if an unhoused person says, take me here, they must take them there. And BART is where they most often ask to be taken to on that. I make sure that we talk about that issue there because we are handling well beyond what we should have to handle here. And the other thing for the audience today, there was some kind of Board of Supervisor concurrence that MILLBRAE should not be left to handle the BART situation alone. Now, I think they meant, let's get a meeting with BART and talk about policing. But who knows what the county may actually do on that. And I have been trying for 3 months now to get a meeting with Jennifer Lee and Bevan Duffy on that. Bevan has been ill on that, to talk about the issue of policing on that. So we still need to move forward on that. So with that, I think we don't.
The action, Mayor, is just to accept the report.
Okay. Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Okay, please call the vote.
Councilmember Pappen? Yes. Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Councilmember Fung?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
Mayor Snyder?
Yes.
Existing business item number 13 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, moving into new business, agenda item 14, review and approve city response to the grand jury report, accessory dwelling units, affordable housings, panacea, or prevarication. This is an action item. City manager.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Mr. Andy Mogensen, our Community Development Director, for a report.
Pleasure. It's been a long day for me too, so this should be a brief item. This was an interesting grand jury report. It was very informative, very educational. Next slide, please. The report examined how jurisdictions calculate and allocate accessory dwelling units as low-income housing. And it asked the question, are some San Mateo communities misusing ADUs to avoid the construction of multifamily low-income housing over the next 8 years? And while some San Mateo County jurisdictions rely on ADUs to meet as much as 80% of their affordable housing requirements, ADUs comprise less than 5% of MILLBRAE's 6-cycle RHNA numbers in our housing element. So we are not among those. And the report points out, and it is true, that state law does not specify nor regulate affordability criteria for ADUs. There's currently no income tracking or verification for people who live in ADUs. The report acknowledges that local governments cannot condition ADU permits on complying with affordability monitoring and verification. That's in their findings. So the way that cities in San Mateo County allocate affordability of ADUs is through an estimate. There is what's called a 30-30-30-10 affordability split. And this was created by the Association of Bay Area Governments, and most jurisdictions use this methodology. And what that means, if you go to the next slide, we also use this methodology. But what it means is that you allocate, of all the ADUs you build in a year, you allocate 30% of those to very low, 30% to low, 30% to moderate, and 10% to above moderate. It's an allocation, but we actually don't verify that those are below, low, moderate. We don't have that number. So that's the methodology that was established due to the void in state law on this topic. On average, MILLBRAE permits 14 ADUs a year. So if you allocated it through that methodology, it'd be 4 very low, 4 low, 4 moderate, and 2 above moderate. So that's how the 30-30-30-10 split would work. But of course, we don't know if the people living in those ADUs are actually low or very low income, because we don't have a way to track or monitor that. And then in our arena numbers, we project 112 over the next 8-year period, and that's a pretty straightforward thing. We do an average of 14 ADUs a year, so we just added that by the next 8 years, and that's how we came up with that. Of course, 112 units is a small fraction of the 2,199 units that is our housing goal for the next 8-year cycle. Next slide. So just to give you a graphic on how this works, just to give you an idea. This table you can see in the here on the end, total permitted. That's the total number of ADUs that we've constructed each year. 2018 was the year the ADU law took effect. We didn't have any. 2019, lots of interest. 18 were permitted. And so in our arena numbers, this is how we break that down. We'll see how the future goes. You know, with interest rates going up, we may see fewer ADUs. It's hard to say. But by and large, it's been 14 a year on average. We've permitted 56 ADUs so far in total since the state law took effect. And again, low, very low, moderate, those are not deed restricted. There's no legislative requirement to mandate or require affordability. Next slide. And so in general, the city's response agrees with the findings of the grand jury's report and most of the recommendations. The civil grand jury recommends not using ADUs for affordability counts because there is no legislative requirement to require their affordability. And we agree with the grand jury that if ADUs are used to meet affordable housing goals, they should be better tracked and monitored. And again, this is because the state really hasn't created any law or direction on that. So, next slide. And then just to summarize, we have made significant progress toward our housing goals. Always good news. We successfully met our 5th cycle goals for market rate housing production. Most of that came from two big projects, Gateway at MILLBRAE Station and the Rollins. We currently have entitled 2,092 housing units in the pipeline. So if those follow through, we're well on our way to meeting our 6th cycle RENA numbers in the next 8 years. Next slide, please. So with that, staff recommends the City Council review and accept the city's draft response to the grand jury report. It was identified in your agenda packet this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mogensen, and thank you to staff for this. Before I open it up to council, when Ruben Holliber was still on council, I remember a discussion where Ruben was definitely the lead on trying to ensure that the ADUs had an affordability and a home ownership component in it. But I don't remember what the mechanism was. So when I was reading your staff report today and all the little, hey, the county says, or the grand jury says we should do this, we should do that, I thought we had done something that was above and beyond what other cities were doing at the time. I just couldn't remember what it was.
It was not ADU, was the SB9 urban lot split, where you can implement SB9 and do an urban lot split and put 2 units on each lot. And the 3rd unit is required to be affordable.
Okay, and that's where Ruben was most definitely a champion for that. So not in here, in that one.
Correct.
Let's make sure we're telling our story on that one.
You know, years ago, I wasn't here in MILLBRAE, obviously, but cities did require deed restrictions on these things, but when the law took effect, we weren't able to do that anymore, and that was all over the state.
Council, comments on the grand jury report? I'm seeing a shaking head. Councilman Fung?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Councilman Kalin, did you have any comments, questions? Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second from the Vice Mayor. Thank you, Councilwoman Kalin. I didn't actually open it up to the public. I apologize. Are there members of the public who want to comment on the grand jury report on ADUs?
There are no public comments online.
And I have no speaker slip. Closing public comment. And City Clerk, please call the vote.
Councilmember Pappen? Yes. Councilmember Fung?
Aye.
Councilmember Cahalan?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Goodman,
Aye.
Mayor Snyder.
Aye.
New business item number 14 passed by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to council comments. We haven't met in a month, well, not other than closed sessions and special sessions. If we could quickly go through a couple of updates, especially anything that we each need to share with each other. Who would like to go first? No one's making eye contact. Okay, thank you, Councilman Fung.
I just want to thank the community for coming out in recent times and how we've shown everyone that this community really have it together, on issues that is very personal to all of us, obviously. MILLBRAE's been a quiet for a very long time, and yet we've demonstrated to people that we are a city of passion as well as a city of compassion, and yet we can come together. We can agree to disagree, but I'm extremely proud because what we are able to achieve today at the Board of Supervisorial Chamber has to do with every one of our community members coming out and expressing their opinion and fighting for what they believe is right and doing what they believe is just. And so to that end, I'm extremely proud of this community. And, it's good to see every member of our community coming out to the rec center, like, the biggest room within our city. It's not big enough to house everyone in it who wants to participate. It's wonderful to see the engagement of our community throughout this process. And if that's a silver lining, I think that's something we can be proud of, that we take away from all these experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fung. Councilman Pappen.
I'd like to reiterate Councilmember Fung's comments today, and it was actually brought up by other people outside of our community. The real engagement and the just willingness to speak up on all sides here. It was really noticed that the MILLBRAE community came together for very important issues affecting our community. So again, thank you to everyone there. I think, too, what we've learned is that we do need speakers outside the recreation center for future reference. If we do have crowded meetings in the future. I will say that the joint school city council committee is still working through a field agreement, which we hope to complete very, very soon moving forward here. And when we get to the closing, in memory of Madam Mayor, if you could come back, I would like to say a few words about one of our residents.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Sure. I don't have a comment on anything other than what was brought up tonight. And first, as a direct response to the personal attack that was allowed here tonight, while it is blatantly false by a non-county resident that was found to be stalking my 20-year-old college student, that led to her to change her profile bio to send a direct message to the woman that was cyber stalking her based on her response on social media. My response is as follows. I am a proud father of my daughter for her courage to dive into the civic engagement on social media, which we all know is not for the weak of heart. She has and will continue to learn that freedom of speech is not free for all. And to maneuver that space, one must be careful of words used and the impact of them. But let me be very clear. I don't tolerate bullying. I don't tolerate the singling out of a child, or I consider she's still my child, who has not developed as we have as myself being a 50-year-old social media user versus a 20-year-old social media user. And adults should know the difference. And for the statement of me making a racist remark about her, I would just say to this, the term grand poobah comes from the Flintstones. And the term troll is, well, is self-explanatory. And the internet and social media has tons of trolls. And so when you put those two together, the grand poobah of trolls, that's not racial. And I direct that individual that clearly was fixated on my daughter, who did not have her full name on the profile. And someone had to do a lot of research, I'm not sure how, to find out that she was my daughter. But my daughter has a lived experience, and that lived experience didn't just start when we moved here to MILLBRAE. It did not start when I was elected, when I was yelled down and told that based on decisions that this body made was racial, that I should go die or I should be recalled based on just being elected. That's a lived experience of a 20-year-old that sat by as her dad for the last nearly 2 decades served members of this county. And if tonight is any indication, I was right. And I challenge that individual to file a formal complaint with proof or documentation, or stick to social media. Additionally, I would like us to also be reminded that, as Councilmember Fung said just shortly ago, that facts matter and facts are important. And it was clear tonight that a motion that may have been made, that someone stated that the same motion or a similar motion was made back in February when voting for the mayor to travel to DC, when that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I made the motion. It was seconded by Councilmember Cahalan, and it was passed 3-1-1. There was no caveat of that motion to say that the mayor come back and report out. It's in the minutes. That was approved by this council on a vote of 5-0. So to that point, I support and encourage the reporting out from participating in any conference, local or national. And it should not be tied to cost, as looking at the amount in comparison to our overall budget, it is a drop in the bucket compared to the investment in this council being educated and properly well aware of the resources that are available to us to bring our city to where we want and need it to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilman Cahalan.
I'm trying to find my words. Vice Mayor Goodman, thank you for your courage to speak up for yourself and your family. And I know that I want to continue to find that voice to speak up and stand up with our community and support each other. And it just shows the continued work as a community and the importance of the work that we're doing with EJ Solutions. And I hope to continue to learn and grow in this process as well to show that support for each other. Tonight, we had really wonderful proclamations around mental health and addiction and recovery. And I think we can all say these are things that are really important to us individually and as a community. As we've gone through all that's happening in our community the last couple months, there's been a lot of stereotypes and judgments and negative comments around people going through mental illness and recovery, especially those who are going through that are unhoused. And so as we continue this work in our community, as we move forward with this, I really encourage us to think of that whole picture, not just in terms of our proclamations and making statements here, but what that means for us in our day-to-day work as a community and building awareness and understanding and compassion and building services for those who are experiencing mental illness and going through addiction and recovery. Yes, today we had the Board of Supervisors vote. I feel very hopeful about the MOU. I know our city manager stated many of the items that they offered for fiscally supporting our city. But other components they spoke to as well were really putting details into it so that the community has transparency, and that we can see, who's going to live there, what's going to be the process for maintenance, and other details to be worked out, as well as a plan for accountability and oversight. I know that, folks have come from all different places on this issue. I also agree. I mean, just seeing so many people come out wherever folks stood on this just shows how many people we have in our community that are active, that care about what happens in our community. And I think we have the great start of an MOU. The work that everyone has done brought this where we are today. And I'm really hopeful and really look forward to coming together as a council and a community to create a really high quality, good MOU that our city deserves and that our county deserves, and that will make our community feel heard and safe. So thank you. And to echo former Mayor Colapietro, the Art and Wine Festival really was a beautiful celebration in our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Cahalan. Okay. City Manager, CCAG Bike Pedestrian Committee asked me in August if they could get a meeting space here. And I haven't had the chance to follow up on it. I had offered it before COVID. Given how little money we ever get out of CCAG, I'm hesitant to do that. But they are hoping to have a meeting here. Whether we charge them for it or not, I don't care on that. I am tired of being taken advantage of by the county. But that is for the September meeting where they'll be talking about yet another grant cycle where again, CCAG led the discussion that one grant in 10 years is the same as 10 grants in 10 years. So I have no faith in CCAG, and I have no faith in Sean Charpentier because he led them through the nose, again, by not providing honest information on that. Office of Emergency Services has pushed our September meeting into October because of Cal Cities. We continue to have mayor civic coordinating meetings. It would be really lovely to get self-help for the elderly there since they do so much for the community, and I know City Clerk has been working on that. We really do need a bike pedestrian committee that does what bike pedestrian committees do. I'll leave it at that. MILLBRAE Community Enhancement Advisory Committee, which is our environment committee, has been waiting for, I've been on it 7 years. I think Councilwoman Pappen was it the first year I was on council. But in my 7 years waiting for a tree ordinance, of the things that did not happen this summer because of the impact of the county onto the city of MILLBRAE, regardless of what decision was today, was absolutely no time for staff to work on a tree ordinance. That means that we continue to lose trees. We had a storm last winter that caused wind that made people afraid of trees. We don't maintain trees properly, both the city trees as well as private trees. And we are now considered a high risk for heat island, heat dome impacts under National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency. So we don't have air conditioning. We have a great senior population. We have a good portion of our city that is low income already and doesn't have the resources. And we know that our seniors will not leave their homes to go to a cooling center. So we are now a high risk center for MILLBRAE. And I had really hoped for my birthday that there would be a tree ordinance. City Manager, I understand what staff has been under. I know how hugely devastating this was to staff time and what was in our plan. But I have a year and a half left and decades of work on the environment, and we don't have a tree ordinance. Tree ordinance means when Caltrain came through and cut down trees, they were supposed to do a 1-to-1 tree replacement. Other cities get 2-to-1 or 4-to-1, but we don't have an ordinance, so we don't get that. And over and over and over again, the lack of these tools on that. And I'm not criticizing Tom, and I'm not criticizing staff.
No, Mayor, I want to bring to the council's attention that this item is committee reports.
I'm
of
talking
council
about
members.
community enhancement. And so they have looked at their work plan, which includes trees, and tree ordinance has been on their work plan for 7 years on that. So we actually, on the good news side, we have a new member on community enhancement who is by training a landscape architect. He's young and full of energy, and he's going to be an amazing new asset to the committee. But council, we have our own work plan that we're supposed to be working on, and the county came in and basically destroyed our work plan. Basically destroyed our East Place specific plan where we were supposed to have the criteria for the RFP done, and we can't get to it. And we're coming into another storm season and another heat wave season. And yeah, there's an MOU, whoopee, on that. So that's my closing. We'll move to closing in honor of 7 years for a tree ordinance. We have no closed session tonight. We're adjourning city council meeting in honor of Doug Lamont, Marianne Favreau, and Michael Tragoutsis. And I want to say we have Jeff Lamont here. I grew up with Jeff and Doug. Doug was between my sister and me, we swam together, we carpooled together. Your mom would bring us to swim practice and vice versa, spent time on Evergreen Court in there. But Doug and I spent years together in school. We swam together, both at the MILLBRAE Otters. And then he went off to college. And then he went off to college again and got his PhD and created businesses here in Silicon Valley, high-tech businesses. And it's very sad. It's sad when we lose anyone, but to lose someone younger than me and that we've known for so many decades. My heart goes out to all of you, all of the Lamonts. We were family. We're still family. So hearts go out to you. Gina, you wanted to speak on one? Oh, sure. And my sister gives loves too. Mom and sis. Gina.
Thank you for sharing, Jeff. It was great. Michael Tragoutsis moved to MILLBRAE in 1948. His family owned a grocery store in the new Checkered Market in San Francisco and then served in the Korean War before returning to the Bay Area. He opened up a new grocery store in 53 called Sunnybrae Market in San Mateo and was an active member of the San Mateo Elks community here. And His last venture, many of these people know around here, was Trag's Market in San Mateo. So our condolences go out to his wife, Mary, of 70 years, and son, John, and his wife, Kim, and many, many grandchildren. So we lost a very established member of our community. Thoughts and prayers go out to he and his family, and it's always a sad day. Thank you.
And our final saying goodbye to Marie Ann Favreau, very active with St. Dunstan Church. I'm going to guess probably with the Catholic Federation Society on there, and a resident of Cadence with that. So for her care at Cadence, which was where my grandmother was when she passed, our thoughts to family and friends of the people we've lost. Thank you. With that, we will adjourn City Council at 10:37. Thank you.